We didn't start this fight. We just wanted to be heard. But silence isn't justice. So now we will unbury our words. We are the voices you pushed aside. We are the tears you justify. Family confront, warriors rise. With every story you try to hide. We held on to every moment, every memory, every name. And now we're done pretending this is anything but insane. You thought no one would ever see. Now we are everything you never expected us to be. We are the voices you pushed aside. We are the tears you justify. Family confront, warriors rise. With every story you.
Why'd you stop dancing?
Well, I mean, I figured everybody probably did not want to see me dancing the whole time, even though I appreciate my dancing. I'm not positive that everyone does. Let me add us a place for our comments. See, this is the problem that I have. I can't see.
What? Well,
I
the
was trying
comments.
to add comments, and I'm like, where is it? I can't see without my glasses and without everything huge.
They're there. Christine's the only one.
Running. Okay, there they are. Awesome. I was just making sure we had our comments up. But hello, everyone. Welcome to the Warrior War. We are running like crazy people as always, and we are still super focused on the human torture mission, and we need everyone to be doing their videos. If you need an example of what to do, Kate Malone nailed it. We're going to do a second podcast with her at some point so that we can do one that's just focused on her case and show her evidence and show how she's documenting. And I know that the Warrior Project is not crazy enough to think this is ever going to be a court of law, but it will show everyone beyond the shadow of a doubt who the problem is and that the system is literally stealing and selling children. This is not protecting anyone. It's not protecting best interest. It's not. There's a million things that people say other than what it actually is, which is child trafficking. We're selling kids for multiple revenue streams. We're looking at the Title IV. We're looking at the private attorneys. There's misconceptions that CPS only happens to poor people and drug addicts. There's been hundreds of CPS cases that they've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars fighting for their own kids. Those are the favorite ones of CPS because they're collecting money on the front end and the back end. They're going to bankrupt every entity they can find. This is a $1 trillion industry. I thought it was billions. We did the numbers. We ran the numbers. It's $1 trillion a year with a T. If you think about that in context, we have 1 trillionaire in this whole world. And it took them a lot longer than a year to get there. $1 trillion. So now that we kind of got that out of the way, let's get started with Kristin Vermeulen. You all know her. You love her. Or at least I do. She's my bestie. Everyone who wants to be my bestie, sorry, position's full. Just kidding.
It's just because she has to see me every day.
No, it's because I've learned to love everything about Kristin. She is an amazing person. She's been through hell. She has every reason to be a victim and blame everyone and just be mean and horrible. And she's not. She's still beautiful inside and out.
Oh, thank you. So are you.
Aw. We're gonna
Enough
cry.
finish
I'm
this
sure
stuff.
we're gonna cry. There's no doubt in my mind we're gonna cry.
I hope not. I
Hearing
hope I can get through it
my
without.
testimony,
I can't really get through anybody's story without crying at some
I
point.
started crying looking at the picture of you pregnant and you holding the baby, and I didn't even upload all of those because it's not a slideshow down memory lane. But you grew a baby inside of you. God gave you that baby. No one had the right to steal it.
Right.
No one.
Yep. And the problem is when you become a when you're in the system as a child, when you become an adult, you're targeted immediately. One call is all it takes for anybody. And from where I'm from, it's like the thing to do to people. Because, I mean, with me at least, everybody knew that the best way to get to me was through my kids, to mess with my kids, to mess with me having my kids. Just anything to do with my kids. That was the best way to hurt me. And I mean, that's just the way people have completely weaponized CPS against innocent people. Even, it's not fair, because once CPS is called on you, you're automatically guilty in the system's eyes. It's not like you get a chance to prove yourself. They come in automatically thinking that you're guilty. They come in automatically looking at you in that light. And there's no way to convince them, no matter how much you prove to them. I mean, there's very few CPS workers that will form their own opinion, their own, opinion of you.
And
And
we know this because they're incentivized. And the ones that are good don't last very long
nope. The
because
ones that are good either well, for a while there, the system in where I'm from was not as corrupt as it is now. For a while there, they had gotten a handle on it for the most part. And um, I was actually at a friend's house when his ex-girlfriend was there doing laundry one time, and she was crying the whole time. I'd never met her, never seen her, never knew this. I had no idea who she was. And I asked him, I said, "What's wrong with her?" She was doing her laundry. And he's like, "I don't know, something to do with work." So at that time, I was a cigarette smoker. I went and smoked a cigarette, and he comes out to tell me what he found out. And because it was kind of heartbreaking, I didn't know this lady, and she's just like sobbing and folding her laundry, and I'm like, this is really
is she
something's
okay?
right.
Do we need to do
Right.
something?
And he comes out and he said it's something to do with work, that they want her to do things that she's just not okay with doing. And I'm like, what does she do? He said she's a CPS worker. And I'm like, your ex-girlfriend's a CPS worker? I had no idea. And
I think we're all guilty of thinking once upon a time that Child Protective Services was there to protect children, and nobody took kids for no reason, not in the United States, right?
right, I had that time had an open CPS case that was getting ready to be closed, because a week prior to that, my CPS worker had showed up at my house and said she was closing my case. She had to check with the housing commission to make sure that I was not in eviction. And if I wasn't, she was closing my case. If I was, then she was going to keep my case open so I could take advantage of her resources for housing. If she kept my case open, then she could help me with housing again. So
Yeah, they pretend like they're going to help people.
yeah, well, they don't, because she lied right to my face when she said that. I had no idea I was in eviction. Um, Due to unresolved utility issues. I had let somebody use my name for their utilities, and they did not pay the bill. So when I got into my apartment through the housing commission, which was like low income housing, the utilities are in the housing commission's name, but you have to transfer them into your name. Well, I was unable to because I owed a lot of money to the utility company, and
And
so
let's back up just a little bit because I know, but everybody doesn't know. What was your childhood like? How many siblings did you have? Where did you fall in the?
well, let's just say, well, my mother had my brother and I very young. 15 when she got pregnant, 16 when she had my brother, 17 when she got pregnant with me and had me. Um, and then after us, there was two other siblings born after she got us back because we were taken from her before I was even a year old twice. And I was put into the system and I was in foster homes and tossed around from family member to family member. It wasn't until I was 2 when my grandparents were finally able to convince the caseworker that they could handle 3 toddlers because they had a toddler of their own, my uncle, who's the same age as, well, he was right between me and my brother's ages. And finally, they were able to convince them that they could handle me too, and they, I was done being tossed around. I didn't really know my mother until I was 4. She before that she would always go visit my brother at her mom and dad's house, but I was with my dad's sister, and then foster homes and everything else. So my brother and I had different dads. So he wasn't, that's why we were not put in the same place together at the same time. And
But as you got older, you helped protect your siblings
yes,
from the foster
when I
care
was
system.
about 12 years old, my mother started taking off for weeks at a time. We were not allowed to have a phone number to get a hold of her, or nothing. So we would run out of food. We would, and like neighbors, family members, people were threatening to call child protective services on her. And I begged them not to. I begged them not to. And because I know I was young when I was going through the whole foster care, everything, but I remember it, believe it or not. I mean, I remember the day I was taken from my mother. I wasn't scared or nothing. I mean, I was a baby. I didn't know what was going on. But I do remember the moment that they walked in the door. I remember my brother sitting on the floor next to me. I mean, I remember little things about that day. So, like, but I do remember being scared, wondering who all these people are when they were tossing me from foster home to foster home. So I had a pretty good idea of what we had coming if somebody would have called. And I was
And
not okay with that.
you had no assurance that you would even stay with your siblings.
Right, there wasn't even any guarantee that we would stay together, and I had already been through that. My brother and I didn't stay together, when we were young and taken. So, and I'm not saying that they took me and my brother for no reason, because there was a good reason why they took us. My mother was not, she wasn't doing the right things.
But we just had this conversation this morning. No matter what somebody's done, or is there anything someone can do other than molest a child, beat a child, harm a child that you can never come back from? I mean, we looked at JD Vance. We talked about it this morning. If you haven't seen Hillbilly Elegy, whether you like him or hate him, his mother should not have had custody.
No.
He should have been taken. He was at points given to his grandmother, but he has a great relationship with his mom now.
Right,
And if it was a CPS, they wouldn't even know each other.
right.
He'd have been adopted into a stranger's family for money.
And I had a very similar story. My grandparents got my brother and I, and there is, back to your question, like, there is a certain type of situation where it's obvious that somebody's not doing the right thing as a parent. There are situations, and in my mother's situation, she left us home alone for a whole weekend with a 12-year-old and never called. She was only supposed to be gone for a couple hours. She didn't come back. She didn't call. She didn't nothing. So this 12-year-old little girl is like stuck with us. I'm 6 months old. My brother is a year and a half old. So she finally had to go to school Monday. So she had to tell her mom, well, Donna never came home. Huh?
And she doesn't have a car to go to the grocery store and money to
Right. I mean, you might as well
I
just
mean,
left us home alone. You know what I mean? A 12-year-old is not old enough to, but she had to go to school on Monday. So her mother is who called CPS, called the police actually, and they contacted Child Protective Services. So there, I mean, I'm not saying that like every, or it's never okay to take children from their parents. I mean, there are certain times where, but how often do they really even place children with family anymore? They don't anymore. Even when they are qualified, even when they have passed all the tests and did, and you know, in my situation, there was about six or seven family members of mine that applied to get my kids. They never got them. They were approved,
and
but my
I
children
mean,
would,
I
they would
think
not
that
place
more,
my children with any of my family, any of the kids'
but
family.
probably because they thought that your family would fight for reunification at some point and the payments would
It's
end.
because, like I said, she was
Seen
going to close my case.
families where they
Huh?
do give them to. I've seen families where it's the own family member that's trying. I mean, Dana Bruner that we did
Mhm.
the her interview. Her sister, I believe it's
Her
sister,
brother, that's her brother
right,
and his fiance or wife.
were angling to steal her children. I mean, so it's like if the system knows that these parents are the relatives are not going to ever fight for reunification or
When the
work
when the
towards
relatives are
reunification.
against you, they'll place them with them. But if they're on your
I mean,
side and they're rooting for you, they won't. They will not. I've seen it too many times to know that that's part of their playbook.
their playbook. I'm just thinking out loud of how can we tell people what to do. Like if you're a grandmother fighting for your kid, act like you hate your child, even if you
Yeah.
don't. I
I
guess
mean,
I don't
literally,
know.
that's the only way, really. It's the only way. Because if they know that you're supportive of the parents, they're not gonna place kids with you. It happens to me. I mean, unless if you got,
Yeah,
like, which is very rare, a really good CPS worker, and you know what? It's not even always just the CPS worker that is the the issue. It's their supervisors, because that's what happened in the situation with my friend's girlfriend who was crying while she was doing her laundry. All new bosses, all new higher ups came in from all over the country to St. Clair County, Michigan. And so she had a new boss, she had a new supervisor, a new manager, a new, just all new people all of a sudden. And then all of a sudden they're making her, they're telling all the CPS workers that they have to take children for things that are just ridiculous. And
and even when you're a good worker, the CPS worker can recommend, oh, this place needs to be closed. This parent is fit. But if the judge and the gal say, nope,
yeah, well, I mean,
the board card holders at some point always step in and their greed kicks in. And once you have an open court case,
oh, and I know for sure, because in the petition for removal with my kids, when she showed up at my house to take my kids, this is 2 weeks after she told me she was closing my case, but keeping it open if I was in eviction so that I could take advantage of her
well,
resources, blah, 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 blah. Lies, lies, lies. Because the second she found out that I was in eviction, she jumped right on that to take my kids. In the petition for removal, she put that I said that I self-reported that I allow known drug users to take care of my kids because I'm unable to leave my bedroom to take care of them. Who in even the wrong state of mind would ever say that to Child Protective Services? Nobody would ever say that.
even if that was true, you would be like, oh, yeah, I always leave my
To
kids with known drug
CPS, like,
users.
who's gonna say that? The only thing that was ever said anywhere near that was when I was telling her about how I do things with my kids. I had a park right outside my back door. I was out there with my kids all the time. So that, plus I had just a couple days prior to her coming to my house telling me she was going to close my case, I had taken my kids horseback riding because a friend of mine worked at a farm out in the country or whatever. They told me that they had just started working there and that I could bring my kids out there to ride horses. So, I mean, I actually did stuff with my kids, unlike my mother, who never left her bedroom, which is what I said to her. Nothing about any drugs, though. Never. I mean, my mom smoked pot, but I mean,
Well, I mean, if you were leaving your kids with known drug users, wouldn't there be criminal charges?
and not just that, but what judge is going to read that and not question the probability of that statement of somebody saying that? If I was the judge, I'd have been like, who would ever say this? You're making this up.
Right. I mean, that
It doesn't make sense at all. Nobody, and even the
Mhm.
wrong state of mind, is going to say that, especially just out loud at all to anybody. So it that and a
Things
pending
didn't
eviction, everybody knows, especially a judge, knows that a pending eviction is not an eviction. I hadn't even been notified of it yet. I had no idea until they came to my door to take my kids that I was being evicted. So that being said, I still had to go to court for it.
How old were your kids at this
Huh?
time? And how old were your kids at
2
this
and 3.
time?
2 and 3. And, you know, I hate saying this, I hate telling this part, but when they left happily with the CPS workers because they were familiar with them. They thought it's time to go bye-bye. Well, just before they got there, it was bedtime. It was 9:30 at night when they showed up. I was putting my kids to bed. So, and they always hated going to bed. So when they showed up, they're familiar faces. They knew these workers. They had seen them in our home many times. And they left happily with the CPS workers because they didn't think anything was wrong. They didn't know. Had they known what was going on, then it. But I mean, it was really hard to watch them walk away like that, happy, not even because it was like, you know, if only they knew what was happening, they would not be so happy to walk away.
Falling apart inside, trying not to scare them.
So I had to
And
pretend like everything was fine. I had to. I had no choice. Otherwise, my kids would have freaked out because they never seen me cry. Like, you know, they never seen me freak out. They didn't see that from me.
at the time, you were a single mom,
Yes.
correct? You didn't have a
Nope.
partner or anyone.
No.
So they took your kids, and you were left by yourself, broken.
Mhm.
And at that moment, did it ever occur to you that they weren't coming back?
No. I thought for sure once I was in front of a judge would, you know, because I mean, I was still very naive at that time. I had no idea that any judge would ever be okay with these kinds of things, that they would be complicit in anything like that. You know, that I didn't know that this was a thing, that people's kids were getting taken for no reason. You know, I had no idea. The only little bit of an idea
And
I
at
had
that
was
time,
what
whoever
was the incident at my friend's house, like with his ex, the CPS worker, because she looked me dead in the face with tears pouring down her face before she left my friend's house that day. No cry face. I mean, whatever was getting to her was getting to her because I mean, she had tears just pouring out of her face. She looked me dead in the eyes and said, "The system is corrupt again. Anybody in St. Clair County with an open CPS case needs to be careful," and walked away and left. And I've never seen or heard from her again. And it really screwed with me, you know. And then 3 days later was when they came and took my kids. It wasn't because of her. Not her at all. It was, you know, just she was letting me know.
there was already an open CPS case because of something with you had a housing voucher to have.
I mean, like think about it though. They would rather take my kids and give them to a foster mother to take care of and pay her to do that instead of just helping me pay my bill so I don't have to get evicted.
Or guide you or get you counseling or I mean,
It just blew my mind.
could-
I was like,
and that's where I was headed with talking about like JD Vance, our vice president. Like, what would have happened if he would have lost that connection to his family? It changes the whole course. I was talking about like, what would your kids have been had they not had to go? If you would have raised, like, the world is missing out on children raised by a great mom. Like, you loved those kids. It can't be
I
the
was all they
same.
had. They were all I had. I mean, I never ever didn't have my kids. I always had my kids. They slept in my bed with me every night. I woke up to their faces every morning.
And I
It
was gonna
was
ask you that, like, the day that they took them, had you ever even spent a night away from them?
no, barely. I mean, maybe like one or two nights. That's it. If my sister had the kids, but that was it. I
You didn't even
always had my kids.
babysitter. Like, your kids were part of you, and they just stole it.
Yeah. And it's crazy because like when we went to the first, it was the day after that they took the kids. We went to this, I had to go to the Department of Health and Human Services building in St. Clair County, Michigan, and sit there around this huge round table with family members, friends, and the CPS worker, her supervisor, and another CPS worker or something, and discuss the next steps and everything. And I'm trying to explain, like well, actually, we got to go back because there's a part of this that I haven't got to tell yet. There was an incident at my house between the time that the CPS worker came to my house and said she was going to close my case to 2 weeks, it was like the very next day after that. I think a friend of mine had contacted me asking if they could take a shower at my house. They were going through a divorce and living out of their car. Somebody I've known for 25 years, and I'm not going to say no. That's strange. I mean, we grew up in the same neighborhood. I mean, I've known this person forever. Why would I tell them no? They're living in their vehicle. What am I? I'm not just going to say no. That's just not who I am.
You're not heartless.
Huh?
Because you're not heartless.
Right. I'm a shower. What's a shower? Take a shower and leave. That's nothing to me. Well, when they pulled up in front of my apartment, they were swarmed by police because they were wanted for questioning about an incident that happened somewhere else, something to do with weapons. And the police ended up coming to my door, and I let them in. No problem. They asked if they could search my apartment for guns. And I'm like, he doesn't live here. What are you talking about? I mean, go ahead, whatever. So they sent me and my kids down to the neighbor's house at the end of my building, who was a friend of mine, so they could search my apartment, which, I mean, I then begged them, please do not destroy my home, because that's what they do. I've heard enough, seen enough on Facebook about things that they do to people's houses. And I'm like, please, this is my kids' home. Please don't destroy my home. And they didn't. They came down and got me. And I didn't even have to ask, really, but I was like, well, they're like, we found literally nothing illegal at all inside your apartment, which is kind of strange considering the company that you were about to have tonight, because there was all kinds of stuff found in his vehicle. But that has nothing to do with me. I don't care what's in his vehicle. He wasn't bringing it in my house. So what's it matter?
You were literally letting him take a shower, not move in.
Right.
Not.
I'm like, he doesn't live here.
Not.
So then they apologized to me and left. They apologized and left.
As you're telling this, I'm like, is that where you leave your kids with drug users? They think that they were coming to babysit?
No, they knew that, because listen, but when they came to my door, they knew already that he was coming over to take a shower, because they asked him when they arrested him, what are you doing here? He's like, I'm just coming to take a shower. They already knew that. So, I mean, it's not like him and I had different stories or anything. I said, he's just coming to take a shower. He doesn't live here, So it doesn't matter either way, because that to me was like, okay, well, at least now there's proof that there's literally nothing illegal inside my home. It is what it is. And the CPS version of what happened was completely insane. Her version in that petition for removal, every single sentence in this paragraph was false. And she did it intentionally. You can tell. She manipulated the wording, saying that that like a whole list of things that were found. on the person and or in the person's vehicle. Said that he was inside my home when they pulled up. No, he wasn't. They swarmed him in the street. He never even made it up on the grass. He never came to my door. Nothing.
Caitlin McCormick.
So
Is this Caitlin McCormick that said all this?
in the
Is that
removal? Yes, Caitlin McCormick. Yep.
This is Caitlin
Now
McCormick right
Donahue.
here.
Yeah, she's married now.
This is her.
Yes,
This is her.
and now mind you, she has got a very bad reputation in St. Clair County, Michigan. Everybody I've ever heard talk about her has said, if she gets your case, your kids are getting taken. She's famous for it. And she's just, I mean, look at her face. You can see it in her eyes. She's just evil.
It looks like she has black eyes.
Yeah,
like,
she's just,
no soul,
she's horrible.
no expression. Just who's going to take a picture with no expression on their face? Just
Oh, she's a terrible person. She's absolutely a horrific person. And I mean, anybody that can take kids for no reason like that is just, I mean, she didn't put in the petition for removal, but they did search her house and found literally nothing illegal inside her home. That wasn't in there. Why? Why was it? Why did she purposely word it to make it sound like that stuff was found inside my home and in the person's vehicle when it was just in the person's vehicle? There's a whole police report to prove it. You know, I don't have it right now, but I will have it. But there's a whole police report that exists that proves what she said in that petition for removal was a lie.
we also know how once you were stuck, you ended up with warrants for child support, but we'll get to that later. But it ultimately led to you having to walk away from everything you own to get away from abuse.
Yeah.
So why would you have paperwork?
I don't have anything because of that. I left everything behind.
Everything except your dog and
I grabbed my dog and my clothes and left Michigan. Yeah.
a few of your most favorite things, and that's it.
I didn't even take my yearbooks. I mean, I left everything from my past behind when I moved, so I don't have anything. But I'm working on it. I am working on it. I'm working on getting the record from the counseling office that I only went to one appointment to, which cost $60. They want $60. I'm like, what could possibly be in this report, in this record? I went one time. How could it possibly cost $60? Huh?
$60 to print it?
1 second. I'm going to turn this light on. Hold on. It's getting dark in here. I don't know why it would cost $60, but that's what they're saying. So I'll have that stuff soon, though.
They had a plan. This was premeditated. This is fraud. Yes.
So let me get to why I know that it was a setup, Frank. Because as soon as they got my case, okay, so I'm sure everybody's heard of how CPS. Well, once CPS takes your kids, you then get a foster caseworker, not a CPS worker anymore. So I'm sure I know it's common because I read about it every single day of my life, where they change your caseworker on you repeatedly. A lot of people don't know why they do that, but I figured it out a while back. They were changing my caseworker on me left and right 3 different times.
Because they don't want them to get attached to you and actually feel bad.
It's not that. It's to create delays in your progress. Because every time they change your caseworker, they have to redo all your referrals for all the classes they want you to take, because the referrals have to be from the caseworker, because each caseworker has different,
And every time they enroll someone in one of those classes, they get federal funding. So they want you to have to take it 4 times, because then they can get 4 times the tax dollars from the American public.
It took them 13 weeks to get me the referrals for counseling, for psychological evaluation, because the call originally on me was that I was severely depressed and not getting help for it, and living with my family member, my stepmother, which the kids had their own room
Who?
and everything. So I don't see why that was an issue. But they were who made me get into that apartment in the first place. The apartment that I was eventually evicted from, due to the utility issues. But
But not until after your kids had
not
been
till after
sold.
they were taken. Yeah, they used it as an excuse to take them. I mean, it's like, what the hell is? What are you guys for then? What is the purpose of your existence if you're not even out here
And
to
how much
help people?
any idea how much the outstanding utility bill was?
My utility bill was it was almost $2,000.
Okay, so would it be better for the taxpayers, we the people, to pay one $2,000 utility bill or $18,000 a month for a foster care program for the rest of someone's life? And at 2 and 3, or 2 and not 3 and 2,
Yeah, they were.
we're looking at 15, 16 years of payments. So whose best interest?
It's sickening. It makes me like sick, like right now, sick to my stomach because I know what was happening. Because we'd go to a review hearing and they would use against me my lack of progress in front of a judge. Not mentioning that the lack of progress was because they had taken 13 weeks to give me my referrals and then changed my caseworker on me, which then I had to wait again weeks for my referrals. And that happened 3 different times before they finally transferred my case, because they were overwhelmed with cases, transferred my case to NS Agency, which is an adoption agency who takes over cases for Department of Health and Human Services in St. Clair County, Michigan, when they become overwhelmed with cases. An adoption agency. An adoption agency.
So at that point, it's pretty clear that reunification is.
It took a couple of
Never
weeks
the
after
problem.
that for me to realize. Well, the only reason I realized was because my kids came to one of the visits with pillows and blankets in their backpacks. I'm like, why do you guys have pillows and blankets in your backpack? Turns out they were sending my kids on the weekends to bond with a couple that wanted to adopt a girl and a boy their ages, while I'm still working on my case plan. They were sending my kids.
And your kids know about them. And your kids know that they're going to meet.
They knew where they were going because they had been going. The only reason I even got a visit that Friday was because I had just gotten back into town because I was working in another city, because I was working for a friend of mine's construction company. There was 2 crews and one of the crews was lying about their hours. So I had to go and make sure they were actually telling the truth about their hours. That was my job. So I had to leave, and then I made up my visit that I missed that week on a Friday. It was normally Tuesday and Wednesday, my 2 visits a week.
And how much time did you get with your kids?
I only got 2 hours each visit. 2 hours each visit, and yeah, it sucked because they would scream. They wanted to come home so bad, and I'm like, if I'm such a bad mom, why do they want to come home with me? If I'm so horrible and I shouldn't have my kids, why do they want to come home with me so bad? It's literally torture. They were torturing my kids more than they were me. That's not fair to them. They're not understanding
No.
what the hell is going on because they never knew there was a problem. There wasn't one
They
until
set it up as like
nothing was a problem.
the
in my life until
world's
CPS
most
was knocking on my door.
child friendly. The supervision centers that I've seen are the most run down. Looks like it's like, let's go to the DMV, kids. And this is your only option if you want to see your children. Like, they're trying to associate. They're trying to create memories where they associate you with negative.
Yeah. Yep.
From the word jump, and you're sitting here trying to make the most of it, trying to hold out hope, trying to put a smile on your face.
Yeah,
So your kids don't know that you're
And
falling apart.
the whole time you're just trying to act like everything is normal, and it's so freaking hard because I mean, that's your kids, and you just want them to come home too. And no matter how much you do everything right, I mean, like me, I was doing everything they wanted me to do. We'd go to review hearings, they'd say I have a lack of progress, not mention that it's their fault. And then I go to try to explain that part to the judge, and I'd get threatened with being held in contempt for speaking up. I'm like, you're about to end this court hearing without me getting a chance to explain that they're standing here lying to your face. It's ridiculous. So after that happened a couple different times, and then come to find out they're sending my kids to bond with a couple who wanted to adopt a girl and a boy their ages. That right there, that's them putting a focus on adoption. I mean, an adoption agency should not have anything to do with a situation like that at all, because without adopting kids out, they don't get to continue to run and operate. They need to be adopting kids out in order to continue doing what they exist to do. So it's disgusting how they would even okay an adoption agency being who takes over cases for Department of Health and Human Services when they become
You're
overwhelmed with
already.
cases.
I can't even imagine being a single mom, young, because at the time you were very young.
I mean, I'm 39 now. My kids, I mean, this was 12 years ago. Well, not 12 years ago. This was 8 years ago. 8 years ago now. My daughter's 12.
I mean,
She was
you're a
last time
smart
I seen my
person.
daughter, she was 5.
You're a smart person, but how do you ever prepare for this?
No,
I
there
mean,
is no preparing for this unless if you are paying attention to social media. I mean, until it happens to you, you don't know that this is something that is an issue in the world. Which is why we
so
are
you're
really trying
going,
to push the information out
going
there.
to, you have a job and you have to show up every day, and you don't want to tell people CPS has your kids, right? I mean, like that's
Yeah, functioning in everyday life was, I mean, having to hide certain things like that was really difficult because it's embarrassing, it's humiliating, and every time I would start to talk about it to anybody, I'd start bawling my eyes out. And here I'm trying to I'm in a professional setting, like with really, you know, normal people that don't go through these things. And it was really hard to function. And yeah, it ended up getting to the point.
you're thinking if they know, they're gonna just automatically assume
Yeah,
because
that I did something wrong to deserve it, and then automatically I'm looked at by them, and these are people that I you don't want thinking negative things about you because it's your job, like it was terrible. Every bit of it was terrible, and then
no
when
one is offering you any support. There's no mental health included in these case plans. There's nothing is like, what can we do to help support you?
no,
What can we do to help make you a better mom?
no,
Help
because
you
if that was
be
the case, they
no,
would have done everything they could to help us stay together in the first place. Because I mean, what they took my kids for is not a reason. Those are not reasons to take somebody's kids. Those are A pending eviction is not an eviction, for one, and for two, an
it's
eviction, even if it was an eviction, you don't take kids because the parents got evicted. That is insane. That is
being
insane.
poor
What
is
what are
not
shelters for? What are shelters for? You go to, same with, victims of domestic violence. If you leave your abusive partner with your kids and go to a shelter for battered and abused women and children, CPS takes your kids. They take your kids if you stay. They take your kids if you leave. You're damned if you do.
they
You're
have
damned
all
if
this
you don't.
funding
And then you're
that's supposed to
talking
be
shit about, because you were stupid enough to stay you chose to stay in that abusive relationship.
right.
Oh, really? Well, I mean, if anybody's going to choose to stay, it's because they don't have the ability to, take care of their kids elsewhere by themselves. And there's reasons why women stay in situations like that. That's not anything to
Now,
do
I
with
hate
school.
to say it, but if I knew somebody in a situation like that with small children, I would say keep your mouth shut and stick it out. There
Right. I
is
mean, it's the same situation though. It's like you go to a shelter because you get evicted. Your kids
if
are
your
going to get
life is
taken.
not in danger, stick it out.
Right. It's
At
sickening the
least
way
until you
they
get
make
somebody more
sure that they
serious.
set everything up perfectly so that they have justifiable reasons to remove children,
Nah,
to
so
tell them. Because even in a legitimate adoption situation, that's still trafficking. That's a money exchange for children.
yeah, it's still buying
End of
child.
story. That is trafficking. That is trafficking. Period. If there's a financial exchange for children, that is trafficking children. I don't care how legal it is. I don't care how legit it is. I don't even care how necessary it is. That is still trafficking. So,
I mean, it's in some situations it is for the greater good.
yeah,
But
like I
there are
said, no matter how
people,
necessary it even is, it's still trafficking. It's still money
I mean, there
exchange.
are circumstances where someone is actually stepping up and doing something by having a child and giving it to a family that they know can provide a better life than they could. I think that's a very selfless decision.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I would be one of those people because I always wanted to adopt a child and say, but just give a child a better life than what they would have had if they would have remained in the foster system. Like I said, I've been there. And believe it or not, as young as I was, I still remember certain things about it. And it was scary,
But
not knowing where you were going to go to sleep the next night. You never knew because there's no stability in
it
being a
always
foster
boils
child.
down to the same question: is this what's best for my child? So if you're 16 with no education, no money, no home, it is a very selfless decision to put a child up for adoption. That's You're doing what's best for the child. So it always comes down to the same question that we ask ourselves as parents, but the system could care less what's best for the child. It's what
No,
makes
they could care less. They do not care because if they did, then there would be a lot of children with their parents where they belong. And who's to say what neglect is? I mean, there's obvious abuse and neglect. There's very obvious situations. I mean, your house is destroyed. There's dog shit on the floor. There's, just no food. That's obvious neglect. That is neglect, period. But getting evicted is not neglect. That's financial issues. That's financial troubles. That is not child neglect. So,
I mean, so then how did it get from there's a reunification plan, you're working it, you're doing everything, you think you're making progress, and the goalpost moves?
well, they were intentionally sabotaging me so that, well, let's just say my son's birthday when he was turning 4. I walked in, we had a visit that day. I walked in, they weren't there. I had presents, cake, ice cream, balloons, everything, the whole nine. And my kids aren't there. And I'm like, where's the kids at? And they're like, well, you didn't call before noon to let us know you were coming. So we called the foster mom and told her not to bring the kids. And I'm like, since when do I have to call before noon? She says, it's in the paperwork you signed in the very beginning of all this that you have to call before. And I'm like, and you decide to enforce it now on my son's birthday? Like, what the hell?
You've never
It was
called before noon before.
no, never made me do it before. Never, ever, not one time. Not even once. It was crazy. I'm like, I could call and say I'm coming and still not show up. So that rule is literally to make you screw up so that you lose your visit with your kids. It is literally just to make people screw up
They put
so that they
something
have something against you. Because when you're doing everything right and they have nothing on you, they got to create and manufacture negatives.
right, and I
All in
mean,
front of the judge with.
it goes along with everything else. The rules are only apply when they're convenient.
And I couldn't even believe it. I'm like, you guys never ever made me do this before. What is going on? Like, it was crazy. And then one time I was late because of a train. Port Huron, Michigan. It's like train tracks everywhere. Okay. This place it's nonstop train tracks. And where I lived was right on the outskirts of Port Huron. In order to get into downtown Port Huron, where I had to go to visit my kids, I had to cross over probably like 6 different railroad tracks. I got stopped by a train one day. Well, you're allowed a specific amount of time after your visit starts, like a window, and then after that, it's over. Your visit's canceled, and the kids are taking whatever. They go home, or not home, but
They
back
get brought to the facility thinking they're going to see their mom,
Mhm.
and if because mom is 4 minutes late, we're going to
I
pass.
was on the phone with the receptionist. Her name was Dora. I'll never forget her. She was really sweet. I
Gotcha.
was on the phone with her at the train tracks. I'm like, listen, please just let them know I'm coming. I'm almost there. I'm almost there. Just don't let them leave. She's like, you're fine. You're fine. You're fine. I get there, and my caseworkers, and now mind you, my foster worker at Ennis Agency, I was her very first case. Okay. Her supervisor's standing there in the lobby. As soon as she sees my face, and I just walked in the door, okay, and I'm still standing by the door, she's coming at me, puts her hand on my forehead, and backs me out of the building. She's like, nope, nope, and backs me out of the building. I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, no, you're not seeing the kids. You were late. And just being a complete bitch to me. And I'm like, I was on the phone with Dora the whole time I was on my way here. I literally just hung up with her. She said everything was fine. She knew I was on my way. I was stopped by a train. That is not my fault. That's not something I could have prevented. And she's like, you could have left your house earlier so that in case you did get stopped by a train. And I'm like, are you kidding me right now? That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. You got to leave your house a half hour early just in case if you get stopped by a train. Who's going to think to do that?
What?
You got life going on out here.
You're working, you're
right,
stressed, you're barely functioning.
And I didn't have a vehicle, so I'm depending on people for a ride at that time too, and they knew that. So it's like there's times where it's okay to be more strict on the rules, and there's times where you need to just be a little bit lenient. Their reason for wanting people to call before noon was so that the children would not be there expecting to see their parents and then the parents not show up. So in order to prevent that, they wanted parents to call before noon, let them know whether or not they're coming. And if they say they are, then they'll allow the foster worker to bring the kids. This time, I'm here. They're here. Your reason for that rule is to prevent the kids from thinking that they're going to see their mom and then not see their mom and leave disappointed. You could prevent that by letting me see my kids right now, but you won't, even though we're both here. But just last week, you canceled my visit because I didn't call before noon. It was like, you people are sabotaging me on purpose. It was insane. She could have easily just let me go see my kids. There was still a half hour left of our visit.
Yes, Olga's saying that Kate said that the same thing happened with her yesterday. Yes, this is all part of their plan to create negative emotions tied to
create negative to go in front of the judge with. When you're doing everything right and they have nothing on you, they have to create and manufacture problems to go in front of the judge with, to present to the judge, to make you look like a bad parent, to make you look like you don't care, to make you look irresponsible. It's every bit of it's intentional. And of course, they had to do that in order to,
and to brainwash children.
Adopt my kids out to this couple that they were supposed, it's crazy. I'll never forget that day when I found out that they were doing that. I'm like, you are sending my kids to bond with a woman and a man who want to adopt a girl and a boy their ages. Which when I found that out, all kinds of shit just started flooding in my head. It was insane because I remembered back to my very first review hearing in front of the judge. The CPS worker was saying to the judge, Mila is a beautiful blonde, curly-haired, blue-eyed little girl who Leland is a sandy brown-haired. I'm like
you're auctioning off her children?
What are you describing my children in detail for? Who cares what they look like? I couldn't. My stepmom was sitting next to me. She looked at me. I looked at her. I left there and physically threw up.
I can only imagine.
I physically threw up.
I mean,
I
I'm
could not
literally
believe what
like
just happened.
feeling my stomach going, flipping, just hearing that they're
And it was
describing your
so like
child that they're auctioning off a
at the
cat.
same time, I'm like, I'm witnessing this and I'm feeling all these emotions and everything. I'm still like, this can't be really happening. I would sound like a crazy person if I was to tell anyone this. Like, this is ridiculous. And no, it's every bit of real as it can get. And even right down to the moment that the judge terminated my parental rights. I'll never forget when he said they are still young enough that they are adoptable. Like, what? Why would you say that? Like, what is the point of saying that? They're still young enough that they are adoptable. Any child is adoptable. I mean, yeah, it's harder to adopt older children or whatever, but it's like right there just made them look like they're guilty of targeting young children.
And this is
I'm like, what?
Elwood. I just want everybody to meet right up there. That's Elwood Brown.
This is Judge Elwood Brown. Now,
this is him
the
right here.
story on him is he was not just my judge for this situation, he was also my divorce judge. When I was 16 years old, I got married. I left my husband a year later. Him and I had everything figured out. We didn't have any disagreements. We were going to share custody of my oldest son, who's 22 years old now, and just got married. But we had everything figured out 50-50. We had no assets. We were, whatever. And we go in front of Judge Brown and he says, you both need to leave and not come back until you both have attorneys. We're like, why? We don't need attorneys. And then I realized why. Because as soon as we got attorneys, all of a sudden, my ex-husband's wanting sole custody of my son, fighting me for custody. It's just one thing after another. All these conflicts are happening all of a sudden. It's like, what the hell happened? They were purposely causing problems between him and I. We had everything figured out. There was not any issue. There was no arguing. There was no nothing. We were actually getting along. We agreed on everything until we got attorneys involved.
Because you weren't ready to get married at 16.
I absolutely was not ready to get married at 16. No, nobody's ready at 16. That's
I mean,
but I was pregnant.
Think about who
I was
chosen at 16.
My mom refused to be responsible for me and my baby because I was still a minor. So I was pretty much
Forced.
told I had to. I mean, there was really not a choice there. I had to. And plus my dad at that time was threatening to press statutory rape charges on him because he was 24. I was 15 when I got pregnant. So I was basically, my mother said to me that it was either marry him or live under a bridge with a baby because I wasn't coming to her house with a baby.
The hospital knows that. I'm just putting these pieces together because you have a child support case that's what has caused you so many problems. It recently went viral worldwide. There's a judge in Livingston, Louisiana. I think it's Livingston. It might be Ascension, that ordered a rape victim to pay her rapist. And it was a statutory, the argument had been that it was consensual, but if you're not the age of consent, it's automatically statutory rape.
Mm-hmm.
So they legally could never.
I mean, the math, if you do the math, it's obvious. It's pretty obvious. I was 15 when I got pregnant.
And because he's a rapist, he should be ineligible for custody, and you should never have to pay child support.
Yeah. Well,
so he's a rapist. So instead of charging him with rape, we force you to marry him and be extorted by him. Oh, okay.
And don't get me wrong. When I was 15 years old, I didn't see anything wrong with it then. It wasn't until I became a mom, I was like, ew, that is so gross. Like, I was a kid. I was literally a child.
Yeah, I don't care what you thought.
I know every adult in my life should have definitely been like my dad was being. and I hated him for it at that time, but
Well, you're not supposed to be your kid's best friend. You're supposed to be their
no,
parent.
exactly. And you're also not supposed to say you're not. I'm not going to be responsible for you and your baby, by your own parent. Family is supposed to come together and deal with shit. Not go against each other like that. Not disown your own child just
We're,
because you have three other kids at home that
we're
love you
creating an
forever.
entire
It's like
society of people with no conscience, no remorse. I mean, they
my
girls
mother and I
are
never got along at all. So it was that it just
but
it was
we're
expected from her
creating
to
a
be like that.
society of people that see that you have to lie, cheat, steal, manipulate. That's the only way to get ahead.
Not exactly true, but I see why people do think that.
If you're a kid growing up in this system, what are you going to think?
Oh yeah, absolutely. A child growing up in the system is gonna think that because I mean that's
all they've
they
seen.
are the rejected. Children in the system are rejected left and right. I mean, when you're rejected constantly, imagine how that's going to affect your everyday life as an adult, as when you're growing into an adult, when you're learning things about life, when you're constantly being rejected, you're constantly it's the only way to get anything at all is to get it
Lie,
in
steal, and manipulate.
malicious ways. And I don't know, it's crazy. But yeah, so that judge, he gave my ex-husband custody of my oldest, sole custody, while I was unable to even be in court and be there to defend myself because I at that time was suffering a really bad neck injury and where I was temporarily paralyzed. I got better and then I had to move. I overexerted myself, did things I shouldn't have been lifting, things I shouldn't have been lifting, and ended up back in the hospital again. And that was when my ex-husband took me to court for custody and the judge awarded it to him because I wasn't there. But that's when you're not supposed to do that. I had a right to know that this was going on, but I didn't. I didn't know that anything until my attorney contacted me, who did show up on my behalf and knew about my neck injury because he heard about it from my ex-husband in the courtroom. So the judge was aware of my condition and still gave my ex-husband sole custody of my son.
Statutory rapist.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that not because he was ever convicted, but because math proves it.
Mm-hmm.
People lie, numbers don't.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so I
currently an outstanding warrant for child support over that statutory rape. Is that correct?
Yes.
For you, not
for
him.
child support.
For child support.
That I owe to my ex-husband.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been in and out of jail many times over child support over the years. Even when it was my daughter's first birthday and I was pregnant with my youngest. I missed her first birthday going to jail for child support.
And now you're able to pay child support from going to jail because.
What do you mean?
Jail helps you pay child support?
Huh?
So the rationale of someone's behind on child support or somebody can't pay their child support.
Right, and throw them in jail and make them completely unable to pay. It's like
you put them in jail and then the jail helps you pay your child support?
Nope.
Where's the solution here?
That's literally punishing somebody for not being able to afford to pay a debt. And that was
that's where we are.
That has been illegal for over 200 years. Being incarcerated over a debt.
Supposed to be.
It's supposed to be, but the way that they word it is that you violated a court order. That court order is a financial.
But if you ask me, this is one of the things that I am like, somebody read. The Social Security Act clearly states that it is a last resort. It has to be willful refusal to pay. Like you have to
now. I mean, I won't deny that. I am absolutely refusing to pay a dime to the state because it is to my ex-husband and to the state because he was getting medical for my son. But you stole all my kids and you want me to give you my money too? Are you?
But you also don't have the ability to pay $50,000, even though you're working and doing everything.
They sent the marshals to my house when my child support got up to $8,000. I only owed $8,000 in child support, and they sent the marshals, surrounded my house.
Oh, I know about that. So, but the Title IV does state that it still has to become a criminal contempt, which means it is supposed to move to the criminal court. And you're supposed to have a right to a jury, and you're supposed to have a public defender, and there's no such thing as civil criminal.
They wanted to put me on felony probation.
No such thing as civil criminal.
For owing back child support. Like, what the hell? Why is that a felony, first of all? I am not a criminal. I do not commit crimes.
So
I do not do anything illegal.
You're not following the rules. You have to follow the rules to be eligible for Title IV. I don't know of a single state following them.
Me either.
So,
Me either.
Okay. I mean, this makes me crazy. This is one
It
of
makes
those
me crazy too. I mean, imagine being in that position where you just lost all your kids. That same exact judge who, in other words, told you you'd never see your kids again. Same exact judge that gave your ex-husband sole custody of your other child a couple years prior gets to be the same judge that terminates my parental rights. And it's like he already made his mind up about me years ago when my ex-husband and I went in front of him for a divorce. Why does he get to be the judge? This judge has always acted like he hated me. Why does he get to be the judge in this too? It's like, are you freaking kidding me? And I said something to my court-appointed attorney, and he's like, oh, it'll be fine. And I'm like, no, it's not going to be fine. I know how this is going to go.
So Judge Elwood Brown has auctioned off her children, now 3 children, and then you have a contempt for child support, and who are you supposed to go in front of?
They wanted me to go back in front of him 3-4 weeks later for the child support case.
Wow.
After he had just told me that I would never see my kids again over the most ridiculous bullshit. Because when he terminated my parental rights to my younger 2, it was right after they stood there and said that I was diagnosed with schizophrenia.
And what doctor diagnosed you with schizophrenia?
I'd never seen a doctor, never talked to a therapist, not even a counselor. I went to one counseling appointment. They asked me some questions. They read them off the computer and typed them in themselves while I sat in the chair. It was questions about like my the health of my, I don't know, just family history. Does your family have any history of suicides? No. Does your family have any history of this? No. So they did have me go do a psychological evaluation, which was a questionnaire on a computer in a cubicle, little tiny cubicle. And this is how they were able to get away with the schizophrenia thing. Because there's one question in this that is, do you feel like people are out to get you? When you're sitting there in that situation and dealing with everything I was dealing with at that time,
yeah, you feel like
my kids were taken, CPS was called on me in the first place, just that alone. They're sabotaging me left and right. It's one thing after another that is being done to me and my children. You're gonna want to answer that question with, yeah, it kind of fucking feels like people are out to get me. It does.
I don't know. I think it might actually be happening. It might not be just a feeling.
There was nowhere for me to explain what I meant by yes, my answer being yes. There was nowhere for me to explain. There was never a follow-up appointment made. Nothing. I never spoke to a human. I did a questionnaire on computer. So when you have a false sense of importance, thinking like people are out to get you and you're paranoid, and that can be diagnosed as schizoaffective disorder.
Now we're going to talk about the human torture.
Schizoaffective disorder is not, That's what she said it was at first in the courtroom, was schizoaffective disorder, but then she quickly changed it to schizophrenia, was worried that my schizophrenia could cause me to be a danger to my children. Now, mind you, everyone, not one time was I ever accused of abuse or neglect. Not once was I ever accused.
How many times were you charged criminally for abuse?
Never. There was never even suspicion that I was abusing or neglecting my children.
And to this day, how many times have you been convicted of child abuse?
Never in my life.
Never. But you're not safe to be a parent because God doesn't know what he's doing. Judge Elwood Brown does.
They clearly made it up. The judge never even asked to see the proof. My attorney, my court-appointed attorney, mind you, who I had just met that day, knew nothing about my case, nothing about nothing. I knew nothing that was going to be used against me in court. Nothing. I had nothing. I walked into this completely blind. So I'm elbowing him. And I'm like, they're lying. I was never diagnosed with schizophrenia. I never even talked to a therapist. I never talked to a counselor. Nothing. I never went to a doctor. How can they be saying that? He never even asked to see proof either.
He never objected.
Or the judge asked to see proof of this. If there was nothing entered in, nothing.
Because probably there's a law that says you have to have a representation before they can terminate your rights. So you did.
Yep.
And
it was a court-appointed attorney who, my very first caseworker after the kids were taken, her and I were talking one day after one of my visits, and she said, "Who is your attorney?" And I said, "I don't know his name right off the top of my head because I just got the paperwork in the mail yesterday. But if you said it, I'd know." She goes, "Well, we use this one, and this one." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's him. But what do you mean we use? You guys are against me. I'm against you. We are against each other in this. What do you mean we use?" They use 3 specific court-appointed attorneys for these cases. Why? Why is there specific ones? And you're wording it that way is like they're all in on it. You know, it's like there was so many red flags throughout the whole thing.
Light bulb moments that if you would have known,
it didn't sink in until after the fact, you know, and until, you know, there wasn't.
Did anyone ever tell you that you could waive your right to counsel and you could represent yourself?
No, nobody told me that. I knew nothing about anything at all. I mean, I was so new to all this. It was absolutely brand new to me. I did not know a damn
why
thing.
Would you think that bar card holders are going to sell you out when they have?
Not when you're naive and you seem and you assume that this is somebody who's supposed to be representing you and fighting for you.
You think, oh, I can report them to the bar association if they're not doing the right thing. And there's so many checks and balances. We live in America, right?
Yeah.
Bar's the biggest fraud.
Yep. I didn't know this until
they have
long after. Honestly, I isolated myself for a long time. I did. I was so ashamed. I was humiliated. I was ashamed of myself. I was disappointed in myself. I was, you know, and then I started paying attention, and, you know, it wasn't until I found my kids that I actually started coming out of that state of mind. Because I mean, I just was miserable. I was miserable. Absolutely miserable.
Prior to that, you didn't know if they were alive, if they were safe.
Right. You don't get to know these things. You don't get to know. They told me that if I would sign my rights off, then I would be allowed to know who adopted them. It would be an open adoption. But I wasn't doing that. Why would I do that? When I know I'm a good mom, I know I'm innocent, I know that I've done nothing wrong. Why would I sign my kids off instead of fight for them? That's just ridiculous. So, of course, I didn't.
Right. And they want to on that one. They're going to teach you a lesson. Judge Elwood over here, he's going to teach you a lesson for not just rolling over.
Yeah. Yeah. So it took me 4 years, but I found my kids.
And what was it like for 4 years having no idea?
Oh, it was torture. It was literally torture. I mean, when you're mourning the loss of living children, it's different. You know, I'm not saying one's worse than the other, if they're deceased or if they're alive. Neither one is okay at all. Neither one is worse than the other, but I'm going to explain what it's like from my perspective as a parent who is mourning the loss of children who are living. It is every day, all day long, involuntary thoughts and images and scenarios popping into your head for no reason of the most horrific things that could be being done to your children, and knowing that there's no way to even save them if that is happening, and then you think to yourself, it makes me feel like a horrible, horrible person when I start thinking, if they were dead, at least I would know they're okay. If they were dead, at least I'd know where they are. I'd know they're safe. I know they're not being raped. I'd know they're not being beaten. If they had passed away, then you actually will find yourself wishing that was the case and not that they're alive. It sounds terrible, but that's real life. That is a real life thing that we have to go through. Thoughts that we have to, things that you just never in a million years think that you're ever going to have to think.
I mean, I can't even imagine you see a news story, 2 children, and they don't tell you their names. They don't.
That happened recently.
Still has their name. You don't like.
That happened recently. I'm sure you remember when that happened. I was.
That's why I'm tearing up, because I remember you saw something on the news in your hometown, and you were like, "Until I see who this is, I'm never going to be okay."
But I did find my kids, though. It took 4 years of searching every Facebook profile of every elementary school in Michigan, sifting through photos on all these Facebook profiles of the elementary schools until I came across pictures of my kids. That's how I found them.
But I mean, they don't know that you even looked for them.
No. But I mean, I was very relieved to see that they are healthy and they're alive and they are, they go to an amazing school too. I mean, I couldn't have asked
for shoulders to see that there's hope, at least that they have good parents that love them. And
yeah, and if I was to ever get a chance to meet them or say something to them, people, I would thank them for loving my kids. I don't hold anything against them. They're not guilty in any way, shape, or form in any of this. They just wanted to adopt some kids. They're completely innocent in this, and I don't blame them not one bit. And I am very grateful that they actually love them. You can tell
they're well cared for. They are. They're dressed nice.
I mean, they're not dressed the way I would dress them, but they don't look like bums.
And they're clean. They don't look starving.
Oh, they're healthy. They're very healthy looking kids and smiling and everything. So, yeah, I am very grateful for that. I am.
It's adorable. I
know.
And I love that name. And it's just and they kept it.
From what I can tell, their names are still the same. Their first names. I don't know about their last names. I don't know. But from what I can tell, and that's only because in one of the photos, Mila is spelled Mila, like Mila. It looks like Mila. So when you hear the name Mila, you're going to assume Mylah is how you spell Mila. But I spelled it the same way as Mila is spelled. But in one of the photos on the elementary school Facebook profile, they're bowling, and if you look at the TV screen, like at bowling alleys,
you can see your name.
You can see Mylah, and I'm thinking, if I was one of the adults there that didn't know her name is spelled this way, I would assume that's. And Mila is such a rare name. There's no way in hell there's another Mila, not in the same, in such a small area. I just don't see there being another Mila. And it was the same girl that I know is my daughter in the picture. So with holding a bowling ball.
And you could just look at that picture and say, that's my kid.
I can. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. A mother just knows, there's no doubting that that's her.
I can't even imagine the feeling when you see her, you lay eyes on her.
She looks just like her dad. Identical.
But you see her and you're like, oh, Dave's coming in.
Hi. Can we get the comments off his face?
Yes, I will have to get the comments off his face, but I did not plan for him to be in, so.
The comments on my face.
Yes, I will have to get the comments off his face.
There's echoing.
So.
Is there echoing again?
I heard.
Oh, wait, hold on. Jesus. The amount, I thought we got death threats about like our echoing last night.
Oh, it was so bad. People were leaving.
But it was really bad.
It was
like,
horrible.
hello.
It was the perfect storm because like it was only coming out of my left side of my laptop for some reason, which is where Cindy was sitting.
That's where it was coming from mine too. It was just left side.
So it just kept, but I saw her turn her phone off, you know.
And we all thought, I apologized to her. I was like, I'm sorry, Cindy. We thought it was your phone.
It wasn't you. It was Kate.
It was
She
Kate.
had her phone on next to her.
I hate technology. I am convinced there are people in this world that are designing this shit with like secret desire to like just do this shit. Just like really just like sit here and laugh their ass off.
I think the same shit.
We all sit here like morons, like, sorry that we're over 40 years old and we don't know how to use technology.
Hey,
speak for yourself. I'm not over 40 years old.
Sorry.
You're so close, Kristin. You're what, 39?
Yeah.
See, how are you allowed to say that? I would have been butchered. All right. They would have been like,
she's a woman.
He's revealing women's personal PII, personal information.
Because I'm jealous. I want to be 39.
I used to say I'm 29 and holding.
I just want to say one thing. I know that this entire thing was about your torture, and I did my best to keep completely out of this. But you know my weakness, and I can only stay away for so long. I have to just say, and I'll dip off. I have to just say to Kristin's children, I am a important third party official reference for your life and want nothing more than for you to get the truth that you know is gonna you're owed, right? The coercive control that you went through is very scientifically based. It doesn't make your dad, you know, Lucifer. Okay, people fall into traps and groupthink, right? But if you don't see that you're a victim of a for-profit system, if you're still harboring this idea that this gorgeous, wonderful mother isn't Superwoman, that somehow we get it, okay? There's science behind why you had to do that. 300,000 years of mammal science that says, if I lose my bond from one parent, I can't lose the other one. Otherwise, I'm lunch on the Serengeti. So the human brain says, no matter what, I have got to maintain this relationship with my last remaining parent. And that's what we call the Gestapo tactics being used. They learned shit from that. Mm-hmm. And these kind of, you have these strong women like Amy and Kristin, and they look normal. And Kristin has been through hell on earth. I have so much respect. And the growth that I've seen out of this woman, I will pat myself on the back for organizing, and we will say it because she's safe now and she's out there enough to say it. All right, we saved her from a domestic violence situation. We learned about it. We mobilized. We got some volunteers that don't want to be mentioned because of interstate travel restrictions, potentially, because everyone's got, shit going on. But the bottom line is, while this asshole's at work, we helped get her to a place where she can get in a car and drive many,
And
many,
Dave
many
doesn't
states
even
away.
know to this day. He didn't see the pictures. He wasn't on the voice call. If he'd have seen it, could you imagine? He'd have killed him. That's why you wouldn't show him.
Don't say that.
If you would have seen
Don't,
her, we saw.
don't say that. No, kill, like metaphorically. But I,
No, definitely not. But
Not,
I
we
know-
do not promote
would have-
violence.
you would have been very angry with this man
Yeah.
and wanted to.
you know what? You just gave it away because I didn't even know there were pictures of her. You've kept this from me for good reason.
Mhm. I was
Uh,
specifically
You would
told
not.
not to send them to you.
Kristen is my little sister.
Until enough time had passed and you were safe, because we knew that Big Brother Dave would not be able to stand a man hurting you
Exactly.
on that level.
I was specifically told not to show Dave the photo.
Well, I mean, remember in the 80s, you can get in a street fight and you weren't a federal felon for getting into a street fight. Just like, put up your dukes. Put up your dukes.
Yeah, it was actually
Now that we've moved into a police state where they send a freaking SWAT car to a high school kegger, and arrest people at their wedding. This is where our world has went. But what we're showing the world here is two things: is the torture. But Kristin, nobody here is a professional journalist trained. We're all from different industries. I mean, she's got a phenomenal voice. That's her voice singing that cringeworthy, like "I Love Dave" song. Like, and it's such a good song. It's such a good song too. But like, if I wasn't me, I would hate myself. So I hate myself now for that song existing. It's just so cringeworthy.
it was necessary.
See how
You were feeling
Dave?
pretty down on yourself at that time that
We've seen Dave take attack after attack after attack.
and he needed to know that it wasn't that's not the
But
only
can we
way
just-
people are
For
looking at him.
working 18-hour days, for helping
I work-
people, for spending
This is
some
for
money
this is for every man out there. All right. I work with all women that have had a history of trauma, that are very smart, talented, a little bit stubborn. But did I mention that I work with all women? All women, except for Frank, who has always got my back, except for every other day when he's like, "Later, dude, I gotta work." I would like to just finish this story that I'm really,
We all know that Frank likes me better anyway.
really
But
proud of. Just if I can finish this story, Amy. Did you tell the story of Kristin on this?
we're not done yet, because
Okay. One of,
What you're talking
if
about.
not the most proudest moment of the Warrior Project, is this woman, Kristin Vermeulen. Okay. We weren't superheroes. All right. We had a couple, I mean, we got together under the right principles, right? Under the right principles of, God, we got to do something about this, and we got to do something smart, right? Let's look at what's not worked, but again, also, like, we've realized we can't really talk to our families, the way we can talk to each other, and we become a family, a very dysfunctional family, but at times, but a family, and Kristin's, I think, my proudest moment, because one, I did not get in my car, drive to Detroit. with a baseball bat and give him baseball hitting lessons. I'm an excellent coach. I'm sorry, this is going to the official files, and I think everybody,
Right, absolutely.
everybody is. If you
college
if
football.
you don't want to beat the piss out of any man who can actually close fist punch a woman, I mean the difference in mass and size, it's so unfair. It's so cowardice, like and then to see, this was my first time I've ever actually got introduced to the mentality of what happens to a woman in that situation when all of a sudden safety has been taken out of your life, right? The brain does weird things, but if you read a lot of psychology and follow the right people, it does predictable things that you can't pick up, because like I don't like to suck at anything, and I'm seeing this, and so I'm reading about it, and it's like, wow, man, every checklist, boom, boom. And most times people are unsuccessful. The women, they'll make excuse after excuse after excuse for the man. We thought that day Kristin lost her phone because she packed it in her
I
bed.
accidentally packed my phone.
She was freaking out. It was supposed to happen the day before, and all of a sudden it was like, I don't know what. The amount of stress that day was ridiculous. It was like, how is this not? He's at work. How is this not happy?
We came so close too, because by the time we got the car loaded with all my stuff, and I found, I first had to find my phone.
I thought you were bailing. We thought you were
Yeah.
bailing.
And you traveled across the entire country in a little bitty car with a kid, a dog, another
Yeah,
adult.
she had a 5-year-old daughter with her. Yeah. And 2 dogs. They had their dog, and I had my dog.
And I love this girl. She's like, I'm like, why are you sending me pictures of your daughter who's 5 years old at 1 a.m? She's like, because that's how I've trained her. All right, this is her hours. That
little girl.
At first, I wanted to judge. Then I was like, wait a second, this is kind of brilliant. Like, kids can sleep at any time. All right, it's called blinds you buy. All right, they don't have to get up when the sun
was so fun though.
They don't have to go to bed when the sun goes down. If your life or your work life is this, right? So I thought that was a funny but I really want to take it back to that moment, right? We thought for hours, she's not answering the phone. She's not going to do it. She's not going to do it. It's the same thing, right? It's like you can't
I was
help
more
these
scared
people.
that he had called.
You can't rescue these people. It's
I
too
was
big of a
more
thing.
scared he had called.
I mean, Kristin, you were leaving all your shit.
Everything. I lived in my house was like a 5-bedroom house, and everything in it I owned. It was all my stuff. And like, it was a lot. I left everything I ever was able to salvage over the years that didn't get taken from me before. I left everything, my whole life in that house. But you guys don't understand what I went through in that house. I was happy to leave it.
This is now months. This is now months and months and months later. All right. And we have security measures in place to make sure that this person is not good. He can't leave the state. Okay. He can't leave the state. And you're damn well lucky. And it's being done for strategy that I'm not mentioning your name right now. That's to give you an opportunity to be a good boy. But you did. You got in the car. Mm-hmm. You were willing to trust us, to trust that you had friends that were going to stick with you through here. How many times in your life have people let you down?
Just about every time. I mean, I had no family. I had no, my own mother disowned me when my kids got taken. I had nobody, I mean, I had my stepmom and my one sister, but they are going through their own shit with CPS taking my sister's kids. So, I mean, I couldn't depend on anybody that I did have in my life because they were all going through their own crap. And it just, I mean, I came into this project, it wasn't even like I'm not fighting to get my kids back, you know? So it's a little different for me than it is for other people that are in the middle of their case still. You know, I came into this project because I believe in it. Ever since the first time I seen a video of Dave's, and I found it not on Facebook. I Googled family court corruption, and that was the first thing that came up. And because it was getting to me and getting to me and getting to me, and the more, like I said, I found my kids, and then you know, things are starting to flood in my head, and things are making sense about the way things happened and what they were doing, what their intentions were, and stuff. So I started developing a huge grudge, huge grudge against everybody involved that everybody involved with successfully robbing me and my kids. And when I came across the video of Dave, I'm like, this guy he knows what he's doing. And I came into the project not because I'm fighting to get my kids back. Because, in all honesty, if I was told right now that I could get my kids back, I wouldn't force them to live with me because I'd be no different than CPS robbing or ripping them away from everything they know when they took them from me. You know, if they wanted to, or I found out they were in a bad situation, yes, absolutely, they would come with me. But
Hold on, I would like to back up. Hold on. Definition of a phenomenal parent is, even though I've been robbed of the last 9 years with my kids, 7 years, whatever it is. I don't know math that well. I'm still at this point, after all this abuse, my primary concern is the kid's best interest. Kids, okay, it's ridiculous I don't know your names because I haven't pushed to ask, because
I don't talk about my story much
Kristin
at
will
all.
tell me, when she wants to tell me. All right. Please do your research. It's for your own sanity. Okay. Don't beat yourself up over this. Okay. It was very, very scientific. Do not, I wouldn't even suggest, okay, hating your father. All right. Which happens a lot. That's the primary thing. That's the high probability thing that will happen. Is you'll get to 24, 25, you'll say, I want to know who my mother really is. And you're going to go to the public record and you're going to start connecting dots that don't make sense. Right. And then, life can get going a lot of different ways. Right. And I would just really try to recommend harbor the positive in your life always. Harbor the positive, harbor the positive people. Don't underestimate this. Okay. Don't look for revenge. Me and my ex.
I'm just sitting here thinking, if I was the couple that adopted Mila, and I'm forgetting
Leland.
your other boys.
Leland.
Leland, but you have something. You had a nickname for him.
Yeah, I got a message for all the foster parents out there. I'm yet to see a good one, and that sucks. Okay, because I'm in the data collection business, and what I see in the foster care is a bunch of talentless, lazy, horrible people. That a lot of them, 4 or 5 times the rate of criminality in the general population exists in the foster care.
I know this hope for her kids
data, because Foreman, what was her first name? Foreman? Barbara Foreman, who've been fighting for these people since the 1970s, got 2 laws passed that required a background check, where if that background check showed pedophilia, you're not allowed to be a foster care parent. That was fought against. She was sued by some religious organization that said, "Hey, well, he said 12 Hail Marys, and I love and
Leland.
the I Love New York song by freaking that chick." You know what I mean? And he's forgiven. And the only way shit like this happens is because we all don't know about it. It didn't make the 5 o'clock news. It didn't
Well,
make the 5 o'clock news.
as far as being a foster parent goes, in Michigan, even though my parental rights were terminated, I can be a foster mother.
I would like to put a
That
challenge
doesn't
out.
tell you that that they took my kids because of fraudulent reasons, that they really do take kids for no reason other than financial incentives.
It's the parent, someone
But
else.
I don't know what does.
That's not.
I want to put numbers, okay, and probabilities and science together to expose this, as this is being investigated heavily right now in the international courts, as we have said, the international criminal courts. I know my attorneys hate that I am doing this, but I want the culprits to be shitting their pants right now, because I know you are, because I got you. All right. What they're
But
going to be looking
back
at
to
is
human torture. I think it's
Is the
amazing
facts.
that you have so much respect and love for the people who adopted your children, because they're victims in this too. And I hope that they see this. And
but we're going to be relying on facts and evidence here, and we're going to be talking about. I will put a $1 million bet out there to anyone who shows me any legitimate data that comes close to suggesting that children in foster care are in any way, shape, or form set up better than or equal than or not horrifically behind or black and white. Like, you grow up with a family and a father and a mother at home, and you have these set of numbers. You grow up in a broken home, you have these set of numbers. And these are numbers. These people have been hiding from these numbers for years. For years.
yes,
But
and I
then
think
you have
that
the foster care.
I see why Kristin was relieved that these parents weren't foster parents. They went through an adoption agency with the intent to adopt. They were never foster parents.
Okay,
No,
let-
they
hold
were in
on.
foster care. They were in foster care.
We're not.
They did have a
there's-
foster mother, and I
there's-
liked her. I liked her a lot. I actually loved her. And then the day of my trial, the termination trial, as soon as they terminated my rights, I looked over and she was walking. The foster mother was walking out of the courtroom, smiling and texting really fast on her phone, like she was happy that my rights were just terminated. But turns out she is friends with the people who adopted my kids.
Your rights terminate. When did we become a society so asleep that we could give humans the ability to terminate the rights
And never once was I accused of abuse
of
or
a
neglect.
mother or father to their children, right? And again, we've told people many, many times, okay, the psychology of hiding an absurdity, right? They cause people like Kristin to be insane, but then they find things like the Warrior Project and a family and not isolation.
Kristin
the
never
ability
told
to
anybody her story.
take a
For
step.
how many
Never.
years?
She took a
I didn't
step.
tell anybody until 6 years later when I did my 3 to 5 minute video. Was the first time I ever told any part of my story out loud to anyone, because I know I'm well aware. I'm not a stupid person by any means. I'm very smart, and I'm a logical thinker.
I mean,
and
smart. Are we
rational.
going to go to very smart? Like,
I had a grade
actually,
point
you
average
really,
of 4.2 when I was in school. I was on the
We-
National Honor Society. I had a
we
scholarship.
bust
I
each
was
other's
very
chop.
smart.
Well, I speak to these women for 2 hours every single day. Every single day.
And you should know how smart I am.
Every day my life starts with these women.
Kristin is smart.
She's extremely smart, but we bust her chops because she's too pretty. So we play the stereotype and be like, honey, just be pretty. Okay, can you just be pretty? No. Oh, I'm gonna get tortured for that. But we goof on
My
each other
cousin
like
says
this.
it all the time. I laughed. She says,
But the
"Oh,
reality is, if I could finish my story, Amy, is the level when Kristin was willing to trust and take a step, take that one step that so many women caught in this don't. I actually looked into this very, very deeply. It is actually horrific. Okay. These women in domestic violence situations are prisoners in their own mind. If it doesn't take someone doing something that is extraordinary, and bravo to the bikers against domestic violence and these other groups out there that do this. Okay. This just happened and we start on our lap, and we're just trying to do the next right thing. And I can tell you that the level of change, okay, I don't believe Kristin at her worst, okay, was someone remotely close to being someone that you can even have the conversation about removing her children with. And it's this it's a psychological trick. It's something so unbelievable that people from the outside just don't believe it. Don't believe it. So
That's why I didn't tell anybody my story. I'm well aware of how crazy I sound when I'm telling it. I'm
power of shame.
well aware.
No, but it's also the power of shame.
And
Okay,
I was very ashamed of myself. That's why I isolated for so
but you
long.
didn't know that this was happening to other people. You thought
I didn't
you
know there was
were-
no groups like this back then. There wasn't any. This was 2017 when my kids were taken. 2019 when my rights were terminated. There wasn't stuff like this out there. There wasn't groups like this online. There wasn't anybody to talk to, because anybody you talk to was just going to say the same things I used to say. If your kids got taken, you did something wrong to deserve it. I used to say that. I'm very guilty of that, and I'll admit it. You know, I wasn't perfect by any means. I was not a perfect mother, but I was a good mom, and I didn't do anything to deserve to lose my kids.
I'm not going to let you continue this conversation. Okay, the details don't matter. Okay, Kristin, you're not in the 0.001% of mothers of the population that are so mentally ill or so addicted to drugs, one of the two, that you are a danger to yourself and your child. CPS does do legitimate work. There are narcissists out there. There are dangerous people out there. There are mentally ill people out there. But when you have such a perverse structure built, this is my world on Wall Street. I'm a structures expert. When you have a for-profit system incentivizing the removal of children, the breaking of the bond between parents, you have a system in place to destroy this country from within. And that's why you've heard me use the word treason. So we are showing also the torture here, okay? Because these are real numbers here. There are a lot of PhDs and doctors that I've spoken to that I respect that refuse to go public for fear of retaliation. Okay, anybody that has a real name behind them, we've gone to a lot of them to back up our work. We're still talking to them as far as different ways, but when it comes to standing up and saying, no, this, okay, this is happening. It's happening in mass scale, and I'm putting my name behind it, and I'm naming these judges, and I'm naming these attorneys.
I see you in the comments saying that they're going to try to terminate your rights. We're about to find out if putting a bunch of eyes on it can create behavioral change, because we're all watching.
We already know that it does. We've already had successes like that.
I guarantee you, if you do a Google search, they figured out like 3 more arrests that they put. Like this is hilarious.
It's now actually. I was discussing that with Rich earlier. You now have 2 separate cases, and the failure to appear and rearrest are not tied to the first one. because they haven't figured out. They can't figure out how to
Here,
legitimize.
over there.
Yeah.
Over here. You're feeling
Yeah,
very
they're trying
sleepy.
so hard. It's so
Yeah.
funny because they have a rearrest for.
Fuck you. I've got you fucked globally, motherfuckers.
Oh yeah,
Okay?
you do.
This
They still can't
evidence will never
out
ever
how
come off this blockchain. It is hard science and math and common sense. And your little sphere of corruption ends at your borders, motherfucker. There's 95% of the rest of the world that would rather not export a cash for kids and family terrorism business model. I'm finding a lot of support, even though my eyes look like this and he speaks very angry. Like, what reaction are you supposed to have when you've heard 1,000 stories like Kristin's of having her children stolen, when you know what that feels like? That gave me 7 seizures. And I just,
it takes a lot to keep your head straight when you're going
to call out to every single person, every single 22,000. I'm sorry. It seems like we're like narcissists always talking about ourselves. All right. I want to make sure we take time to sit there and reinforce the strategy. We have specifically selected these campaigns, these campaign cases to represent everyone. Again, numbnuts right now, okay? Earth to you. Get out of your bubble and listen. You need to CC the Family Court Fraud Warrior Project on everything you submit to court. That is a nice way to let them know they're being watched, okay? That helps you today. You haven't done shit here. We don't even know who you are. We don't know if you lied when you put your name on. Did you put your case number, or did you just like click through and be with the 85% of people that can't answer 2 questions to join this whole movement? It's our fault. Okay. I'm sure we screwed up something like with like all that stuff, but you guys suck too. Okay. Nobody wanted to sit here and learn over here. I put 15,000 hours over here trying to get people to commit to 15 hours to save their children is like, holy shit, man. I don't know. That's not true. I have to keep reminding myself we're dealing with torture victims, legitimate torture.
And if you want to help yourself, help someone else. Kristin is a prime example. The amount of growth in a year of helping other people, I've watched her become someone.
I did even better than find myself again. I basically
care about yourself again. And
yeah, I actually love myself now. I didn't used to love myself. That's why I ended up in situations like my abusive relationship. And I had, it took a lot, but I learned how to love myself and know that I deserve to be, living a much better life than what I had been putting, the situations I've been putting myself in. When you're ashamed of yourself, you end up in really bad situations like that because subconsciously, you don't feel like you deserve anything better than that. But I have learned to love myself, and it feels good.
That's the recipe. That's the purpose of the Warrior Project, right? There's a recipe. There's a recipe of abuse, even in domestic violence. And there's actually really smart people out there that you can read and figure out, okay, how do you get through to a woman that's in a domestic violence thing? There's ways to do stuff. There's smart ways to do stuff, but it all begins with actually.
Well, Dave didn't exactly give me a choice, so he found out what I was going through. He said, "You're getting out of there. No ifs, ands, or buts about it."
Yeah. I gotta just tell everybody, all right, who hates Dave, wants about I hate Dave Weigel t-shirt. Let me explain something, okay? This woman in that situation, if we made this a democratic, thing when she was gonna feel ready to leave this guy, it was happening in about 4 years, or no, it was never happening. Okay? I needed to be the dick older brother that came home from the war and just said, "What?" No,
that's pretty much what it was too.
This week it's getting done. Oh, furniture you got to leave behind. Big. Okay, I'm sorry. Are you independently wealthy? So like, No,
I
you're
was like,
leaving.
I have
You're
a whole
leaving
house of
tomorrow.
stuff here. What am I supposed to do with it? He's like,
The
you leave it.
You're
wallpaper
leaving.
on it.
Okay.
You're leaving
The
tomorrow. We're
wallpaper.
not going to give details, but she had a job set up. She had a place to stay where she would also be off the radar in case he started looking. And at that point, about 15,000 eyeballs and me watching his every move, as well as the private investigation firms that I utilize. So once we knew that Kristin would be safe and we would be able to sit here and still not mention his name. So if he's smart, he stays that way. And why we take the bigger bully approach. This is a domestic violence. This is the family courts is a domestic violence situation.
If there's any corporate sponsors, I'll be glad to hold up your logo during our meetings next week.
I'd like to ask the comments section people, how is dealing with the family courts different than domestic violence?
It's worse. I will be the first one to say it. I would rather get beat up physically every day than to deal with the emotional torture that I have been through.
I love when Cindy throws her shoes at my head. Like sometimes it hurts. Like don't not.
Listen, she gets to throw her shoes at your head.
I'm getting quicker though. I'm like, guys. Again, listen. There's people that are crying here. There are people that are hurting. That maybe now's not the time that you want to hear people like make joking around and stuff like this. We do this. We're at different stages.
You have to laugh about
this
stuff, though.
And
it's a coping mechanism because
you have to laugh.
Tragedy.
Yeah.
I see Franklin there. Farrah was worried about me today because I was having a really bad day, and I mean, Frank's little girl's worried about me.
Oh, I love her.
And so Farrah, I'm okay.
I hope she's watching. Hi, Farrah.
She is, because I got a text message that she was worried about me.
Oh.
I love in our world, like Farrah is a person, you know, in our whole world. Marky, Evo, our people in our world. And guess what? I got news for you also. Georgie is committed that she is also going to step forward and pioneer the how can you be the bad, quote unquote, ex and change your mind for the betterment of your kids.
That would actually be awesome because lead by example. You know, it's like a lead by example situation. If the bad evil one out of the two parties can see that Georgie is a big enough person to admit that she did wrong and that she was wrong in that situation, maybe other people will follow suit and stop torturing your children.
Trolls, you're not going to want to miss this one because she's got a rule. Like for every compliment, there has to be 5 insults. So you're going to get a lot of ammunition. I'm only kidding. She's actually become, and she always was. And when I was getting that narcissist abuse training from Jill Weiss and really, really studied it, there was one golden thing that was off. And that is a narcissist does not love their children. They cannot love their children. And that even at her worst, when I hated her at her worst, when I was so mentally abused and could believe anything negative about her, I still knew and saw that she loved her kids. So we've defaulted to the decision that she is just a freaking moron. And listening to her attorney and her narcissist boyfriend and letting them make all the decisions and put paperwork in front of her and say, sign here. Okay. And there's tons of people out there that have done that.
I think the other powerful thing there is that even the one that believes they're winning, the court's exploiting your mental illness.
There's never a winner in family court. Because no matter what, you might be winning for a minute, but they're coming after your money next. So just like it's like Josh and Cindy. They're gonna come after Josh somehow too.
Oh,
just
he doesn't.
right now, it's Cindy.
He didn't make a dime of it. Okay, let me tell you something. We're gonna do some math here, and we're gonna foreshadow. Okay, what's gonna be the absolute knockout punch? Okay, and because I want to give you time to completely shake in fear over these next few days. We're gonna do the numbers with real experts and do a clinical study live on the public ledger about the numbers involved in how bad of an alcoholic you have to be to require a liver transplant by 35 years old, and then probability numbers from experts on the rate of relapse. And I'm going to tell you right here and now, again, because the international courts are interviewing this, this will be the evidence that absolutely indicts Judge Tiffany Yar as a criminal, as a felon, because she knows, one second, she knows or she should know. Because here's the mic drop. To give those girls to him and his wife, who he met in rehab, knowing the
Rehab that
numbers,
neither one of them finished.
right?
Well, you put SoberLink in place, right?
But no, hold. To not require drug testing, not require SoberLink, not require reporting to the courts. Cindy's entire family has no idea who is watching these girls, what their training is, and there is a 99.9962% chance of a relapse that will absolutely increase the risk of those girls' death. It's pure math. This whole thing, the beautiful thing about the Warrior Project and what this is doing, to try and find some beauty somewhere in this, is the realization, is the discovery. When you create a system this bad, this is how bad humans can act. This is how horrifically humans can act when there's no police force in the town that they live, right? But the whole thing relies on only people who know are in that courtroom. And that's why I'm saying to every 22,000 member here at the Warrior Project, you're a fool if you do not co-publish everything that you do in those courts. You co-publish and you include to help at, if it's email, it also goes to help@fraudwarrior.org. They will, number one, they all know about this project. Every single family court in America knows about this project. And let me send a message to everyone there. We are looking for Hall of Fame members. If we're going to have a bias anywhere, it's going to be in looking for Hall of Fame members, because humanity and the setup right now is pretty horrific. We're in the need of more heroes stepping up. All right. We need more heroes stepping up. We are taking on volunteers, people who would like to trust in this process, that coming in and helping another.
Volunteer, just so you guys know, that was my I started off as a volunteer with this project, and my life has been nothing but way better ever since. So
how many months did you work for free?
6 months.
And guys, there's only, I'm sorry, I'm funding this 100% myself. There's only been room for sometimes 3, 4, 5 salaries. And again, I'm just going to sit there and put this out just to put the end of it. Okay. Part of it was to people and pieces of shit like Justin Nicely, rake face from Ohio that has the audacity to sit there and lie when I sat there fixing every single problem.
Every single thing he complained about,
and
Jay provided a solution.
pretending there's just nothing else you need to know. David Weigel has been funding this organization, and the facts will show, and our tax returns will be done in a couple of weeks, will show that he's taken about $250,000 out of his family's net worth after 9 years in the court to put into this project to get other people's kids back. Even if every word after that is I'm the biggest asshole ever, that is the cornerstone. Okay. Justin Nicely is a able-bodied white male who chooses to live off your tax dollars in Ohio. 4 kids, and his success and why he wants to lead you is he was less of a drug addict than the 4 drug addict women that knocked up his kids. Whoa! Wow!
That he knocked up.
The first paternity case in this dude. Talk about a low bar there, dude. Like, and I'm sorry, I would never ever. But if it wasn't for these jerk offs actually taking this peak attention to actually get to these victims and show, the victim, the Kristin story, and trying to hijack that attention, but so cheaply, like, I have secret information about someone. You know that person that's earned the attention they're getting right now? That's actually a hero? That's actually sacrificing? That's actually putting into the system, right? I'm such a loser. I'm going to take the low bar of saying, hey, dumb people out there, I got some stuff on them that you don't know.
And I'm going to go ahead and out it that Dave gets hurt.
And the reason why I'm so hurt is that I did believe in him, and I gave him the opportunity to change his life. Mm-hmm. And the sickness, the sickness of poverty is what Justin Nicely could not handle is he could no longer be a victim then. All right. Exactly. Now he's got a backer. All right. He's got a real corporate job. Now he's got responsibilities. Now he's got 4 kids that people are going to look at him and I can't play victim. All right. It is a disease. It is a disease. All right. But people need to know right now, this is the only project that fucking exists on the planet. Okay. We're already in the 8th inning. I don't want to talk about anybody else still freaking banging their head against the wall in the 1st inning. All right. There are people out there doing extremely important work. Mark Ludwig working those political angles, other people working those political angles, everybody else they're asking for money. Fuck you. If you don't have enough money to start a business, then you're not a businessman. Okay. JV players, please step off exit stage left. Okay. Victims need to be here. All right. If you get 1 million followers, all right, Facebook's going to send you 12 cents. All right. Facebook fame isn't worth that much money.
That's what Justin's problem was the most. Because everything was fine until you confronted him about doing fraud warrior stuff on the Canton Hall of Shame page. That was when he was like, oh, well,
I don't want to give him any more attention. Let's not.
But factually, just to get the facts out. Okay. That was the issue, and
that was when everything
as his boss. And if anyone wants to, okay, we won't because now his only chance of being actually relevant is to fight this stuff. So we're not going to actually do that. We have all the evidence here. It's ridiculous how many people know and have personally. The bottom line is that. His big issue, what was it?
Well, first of all, every single issue he had, you provided a solution for.
No. I yelled at him.
But then when you confronted him on the whole doing fraud warrior stuff on his page,
that was it. I had a break.
He was no longer allowed to do that.
Like 3 in the morning. It's like 3 in the morning. Yeah. Like, okay, newsflash, everybody. Not everybody who comes in here offering to be a volunteer is honest. Some of them have tried to become Facebook famous on their own and have gotten to various levels of failure. Okay, or failure in their mind. I wouldn't even say Justin Lightsey was a failure. I believe he had more followers than we did when we came together. I thought that was a sign of success. But still,
We were still new.
people come in, and the greed factor is okay. I'm going to come in and get known here in the Warrior Project, and then I'm planning my own thing. I need my own thing. Dave's not letting me speak enough. This is Dave's thing. This is so it was a very easy pitch to everybody who I'm sorry was dumb. Okay, and say, oh, Dave don't let you speak. Dave don't let you speak. With my new group, we're all going to be able to speak, and you're all going to suck because nature figures out who sucks and who doesn't. Okay, so if you're doing this a year and you still have 100 followers, you suck. Okay, stop doing that. Stop keeping people from places that can actually help them. Okay, understand, be an American.
Lying about people.
Be an American. Okay, because in 5 years, if we don't win this, we don't have America. So we're going to see who are patriots.
No, and I will say about Dave, I have gone to bat for people thinking, oh, I think you're giving them a hard time, and that's not real. He's right every time.
Every single time, hands down. Every time he's been right about these people. Amy and I defended the hell out of somebody that I'm not going to mention his name because we don't need to go there right now. But Amy and I defended the hell out of this guy and liked him a lot. And Dave had his issues with him. Turns out Dave was nail on the head, the kind of person that this person turned out to be.
And he's been right every time. Nobody knows.
Trust.
What nobody knows is the amount of times that we have held back outrageous evidence.
Oh yeah,
for the greater good of the community, because it was like, listen, this is going to hurt the credibility of the entire community. So I waited till you jackasses, okay, had to talk so much shit about me at the point where we're now being looked at by the world. And now they have to determine, okay, but these are professional people that actually do research, right? So there's an answer, there's a question as to these people that have left the Warrior Project. What's the story there? The story there is the story of the social media and this new drug called celebrity. Everybody now with a phone is a freaking expert and a celebrity.
Not everybody. I use AI avatars. I got in trouble for it.
But why can't
I'm not trying to be on camera.
Why can't we recreate? Remember, phase 3 of the Warrior Project is to recreate the 5 o'clock news. What's the problem? All right, people don't believe it because it hasn't come on the 5 o'clock news. All right, and at the left side of their mouth, they'll sit there and say, "Of course, we know they're lying to us," but on the right side, they won't put together. Okay, well, what are they not? What are they not telling us? Okay, and then we have the 8 million conspiracy theories that are like retarded. Okay, and nothing more than people trying to get attention, and so it's this fundamental feeding of narcissistic benefits. If you're a narcissist, if you have some tendencies towards narcissism, this is what's being fundamentally supported on the internet. All right. So why did so many people fail, okay, and get kicked out here? Because they actually had the balls to sit here and think that they were going to come in and lie to me and not understand. And they underestimated the truth and transparency machine. But on the way out,
they got to do everything.
On the way out, they got to make a choice. Am I going to really own this? Okay, or how easy is it for me to just join the I Hate Dave Weigel campaign? Right? How easy is it?
There are a couple who didn't do that, so gotta give them props. But most of them did, and it's ridiculous because I mean, there's people like me and Amy who we're in the internal team. We know the truth. We know that Dave is funding this himself. literally out of his pocket, and he got his kids back. He got his kids back. He didn't have to do any of this.
Thank you so much. I hate myself right now because this is your thing. And I just have so much inside me that I have to say all the time, but I take the attention away. I want to finish in some sort of being able to capture the gravity of what happened with you. We would never have met. All right. Kristin actually came to my back at one of the jerk off roles out there.
That was fun.
Kristin came to my back, and the next thing we know, her children are being cyber attacked. All right, and then that's what their strategy was, and that makes a lot of people run and hide. Okay, and she never did. She stuck up, and she stuck with this. She stood for what's right versus what's wrong. She got the selflessness. She got the principles of this. She was willing to put in the time. She was able to have a thick enough skin to work with a guy like Dave Weigel to see that he is an asshole, but he really, his heart's in the right place, and he wants to make you better. He wants to make your life better. And that should be the only thing that matters, because this is not a fucking popularity contest. It's a war. And having the privilege to be able to have a part in being able to save her from a monster who's beating her, right? She knows, like, every time when she comes home, right? He's got that ability to hit her at any time.
He did it to me while I was sleeping. That was the final straw.
That was
sleeping.
But it's the mental torture of the domestic violence. I would say the mental torture.
But he knew she couldn't call the police because of the family court.
Because of the warrant, I was not able to call the police on him.
As a true coward, right? Like the people attacking me, because they know that I can't go to the police, or they're just so poor that a defamation lawsuit doesn't matter. What am I going to be, your 27th judgment to be garnished? In the year 3087, I'll get 12 cents from you.
The ones that have 78 garnishments out already have never held a job, so... Right. They hadn't paid number one yet.
In case you're wondering, we're talking about Erin and Jason Vermeulen of New Jersey. That apparently, I just learned, I'm figuring out here that somehow a judge in New Jersey realized who they are and cited their 65 complaints, citizen complaints or whatever, right? To bypass the police.
Criminal complaints.
Yeah, but you bypass the police. It's not about when the police arrest somebody. It's when you run in there and scream and yell and say, yeah, these losers have never held a job in their life.
The only money they've ever made, they scammed out of people.
And they hate me because of
there's actual proof of this.
The jealousy. And I have to just put it out there. Like, these losers actually believe. My favorite text in the world was like when we both launched at the same time. And he was like, join our group. We really care about you.
They don't even have a family court case.
We let you tell your story. We're not one of those groups that won't let you tell your story. And you stayed at it. 12 followers while we went to 22,000. While you live in your mother's basement illegally, you criminal piece.
No, my favorite was the GoFundMe or whatever. It wasn't GoFundMe.
Oh my God, this is the greatest story ever. Greatest story ever. This moron, Jason Vermeulen, was so deluded. He thought he would run a GoFundMe for his legal fees. This piece of shit. And out of $30,000 goal, raised $20. Someone please put the post here, please. It is the most phenomenal thing I've ever seen. $30,000 goal. What was the result? 20. But the reality is that this is a criminal.
There's just much better things.
And since we are outing everybody here, Captain Marie of Toms River, New Jersey, is an incredible pussy borderlining on a treasonous person, because as one of the largest human rights defenders in the world, that is my official title, okay, on the globe. You know that this guy is in your jurisdiction, and you have enough to put him away and stop him from the level of cyber attacking he's doing. What this judge now canceled 65 of their cases. 65 of their cases. These are morons that have like 17 arrests and 26 judgments against them. Ladies and gentlemen, why does the Warrior Project exist? Because the existing system produced Erin and Jason Sammartino, still on the freaking internet today. And by the way,
caused a woman to commit suicide.
Had a hand in me losing my CFP letters. It says on the CFP board that a complaint came in, which is why I'm going to be getting my CFP letters back, because Andrew Friedman underestimated my reach and my intelligence, and to be able to explain to the world that that's misrepresentation when you say a complaint and leave out the fact that this complaint came in from a criminal who was never a client. Never a client. Just casually left that out.
Just forgot to mention that, huh?
Forgot to mention that. Had no financial dealings with me whatsoever. What did Dave Weigel do? Warn his community of the scam him and his wife were actively engaged in, with the evidence showing who they harmed before, and publishing their public criminal record, which has probably grown since then. And the old system, and Captain Guy Marie of Toms River, New Jersey, allows these pieces of garbage to sit there and continue to harm people. And I want to put this in proper context, because people don't understand the severity here. A young woman committed suicide over the exact harassment that Jason Sammartino has done to hundreds of people. If they have 25 times they went to court and a judge found them guilty of stealing money, how many people did they steal from over 20 years? How many people said didn't have the language? How many people were embarrassed, right? You said, you know? The existing system and Captain Guy Marie allows this criminal to exist in your community. You are paying tax dollars for Captain Guy Marie to allow this criminal to exist. And that's on permanent public record. And that's probably going to be in the international criminal complaint. That there is
you
no.
can go on the Samaritano's pages that they've created and see how malicious they are. It's there's no question at all on what kind of people they are when you go on.
But again, where are we? Where are we back to? We're back to the source. If the Bar Association was not the largest regulatory fraud of all times, to create this town without a police force, to create this magnitude of lawlessness, this would not occur. This would not occur. Why do Jason and Erin Sammartino, why do they exist? Because they exist in the cracks of greed of this corrupt system that allows
conflict, like the conflict that they create. Lawyers don't have a job.
But allows, it says there, unless Andrew Freeman decided to change his mind, or the CFP board fired him already. What I was told, what written to me, is it was said a complaint came in, and
we have it on
video. I also have spoken to each and every single client that I have of the last 5 years, and we'll have an affidavit that not one of them have anything negative to say about me. In fact, a lot of them felt compelled to actually write.
I'm sure he posted saying that he was filing a complaint against you.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a post.
Yeah. So
And then he got
This
arrested.
is why the Warrior Project
Enabled.
has to exist. This is why the public ledger has to exist. This is why we're taking a different hard line here now to sit there and say, we've been saying forever now, we're not telling you to stop, okay? What you're currently fixated on is your solution. Just do ours too. All right. Now we're going to get a little bit more abrasive. You are a fucking moron. Okay. And you are actually not out for your kid. Your ego. If you can sit there and analyze just where we are and how likely we are to actually win this for everybody in this fight, and you can't participate, you don't deserve your kid back. Okay.
I agree.
You don't deserve your
Do anything for your kids. Everybody always says, I would do anything for my kids. I would do
Dave
anything.
Weigel's personality should not matter if you can sit there and look
Mine
at
and
yourself
Amy's makes up
in
for
the
all of it anyway.
mirror and say, I love my children and I will do anything for them. Okay. Well, I'm challenging you to do that. Okay. I'm challenging you. All right. Just participate and get part of this Me Too movement, especially with right now the register your
torture campaign.
Register your torture. This is the place where we have absolutely the most fundamental support for anything. I understand there's a million other groups out there trying to pretend that they came up with the idea. Like, I mean, people, listen, all right, we're going to segment people. Like, the smarter people are here and the morons are going to be following like the TikTok dancers. Okay. Again, you know, if your children are the only thing that matters, then also like who you like more, that just means you're dumb, right? Like if you're picking,
this project isn't about
You're one of the most likable people on earth. No one if they actually sit
I am one of the most unlikable people on earth. I'm 54, I'm good looking, I'm rich, and I drive a Porsche. Okay. Right. I would hate me, okay, at first blush. Why do you think I got to do all this nice shit? I got to balance it out.
You're not like most people that you would think, you know, you're not like them. You're actually real.
That's why I said if they actually sat in a room with you. I see
but this is the torture aspect of it, right? Amy, you shouldn't be having that conversation with anyone, right? Let's just take 30,000 feet. What's the crisis, right? Whoever discovered it, there's a nationwide crisis of cash for kids, of family terrorism, of organized crime, all right? And everyone's out there in the advocate Olympics trying to be superhero that does the most important thing. When we're the only ones out here saying that our organization is driven on selflessness, okay, with the fundamentals. We've never asked anybody for money. We never will. And people are choosing to ignore fundamentals, right? Because it's ego, right? And all you really need to understand is it's not your fault. Okay, it doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you just ignorant to what complex PTSD is. Complex PTSD is when they take your child, that level of dignity raping. Of course, the yin to that yang is I am an important person. I am a smart person. You need to be listening to me. This is what's made it so difficult to be the general of any kind of army or CEO of any corporation or leader of anybody, because we have brain damage that refuses that prevents the healthy human mind from being able to say, no, my best role here is I'm not going to do 15,000 hours worth of research. I'll improve this plan by being a lieutenant or a sergeant or a foot soldier or whatever, right?
Well,
that hasn't happened here, right? Hasn't happened. Why, Amy? Why hasn't it happened?
We have a million people who have put in a lot of work in this advocacy group, but everybody's running as fast as they can in 10 different directions. And you've got 15 people on the bench right behind you that could do the exact same thing you could do. The only thing we don't have is another person that can be Dave.
No, but listen, I'm going to be obnoxious again and
But that's
understand.
me
And just
being an
say,
artist.
can we just pop the bubble, okay, and say if you're one of these people out there that is running a major group and initiative and this and that, and you don't have a fucking dollar to your name, okay, please stop. Please stop. Entities cost money, okay? We're not operating in pretend land. This is still the United States of America. And if you're taking victims away from this project because of your ego and ridiculousness, okay? No, you cannot
Every one of those
create an
people came
entity
into this project
with
at one
zero
point.
money. You cannot create it.
Every one of those people came into this project at one point, believing in the project, knowing that it's going to work, and then they leave,
Like
and,
so
and
many
they're,
of
and they're
those-
trying to pull people away from here. It's like you don't want there to be, you don't want this to stop if that's the case, because you came into this saying how well it's going to work.
But
You came
if
into
you
this.
made a business off of supporting yourself off of broke family court victims, you're too stupid to be here. We're broke people. We don't have any money.
Exactly. Depending on some of the poorest people in the world, in this country anyway, to fund your project, it's like, are you kidding me?
Oh wait, no, we're raising money now. We're in the raising.
We're asking
money
for donations
of it.
Yeah, from poor people, from people that the family courts have already robbed and have nothing, and they're depending on somebody, needing somebody to help. So you jump right in and expect them to give you money to help them. You're retarded.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, just don't distract from the one that has success.
Exactly.
Just especially right now. Okay, I just want to make sure we just put this out here right now. Whether you like me, you hate me, or whatever, the bottom line is, in 5 years, there is a 0% chance you are going to find out that the information I'm giving you here now is not 100% correct. All right. If we can get 1,000, 2,000 of the actual stories of torture, not split up between the 3,000, Facebook groups with 40 people in it. Okay. No. The answer to your situation is not to get your story out. We're beyond that point, Einstein. Okay. All right. We are beyond the raised awareness. You have evidence? No shit. You have evidence? Oh my God. Okay. Dude, you haven't peeled the first layer. Okay. Please shut the fuck up and listen to what we're telling you here. Okay. We've done the work. This is the plan. It's still a game where we are so outnumbered, it's 20-1. And the kids are on the line. Our freedom is on the line.
But we outnumber them, and we're running in every direction.
Right. And no, your idea is not on par with mine, because you know what? When we finally get up to the level that we need to be, yes, you can't sit there and say, my name is Stan and I work at Sunoco Station on Sheboygan Avenue, okay? Because credentials matter, all right? I'm sorry. They matter. Every human being is is equal, okay? But every human being has strengths and weaknesses. And what this mission requires is the smartest plan. If you are kidding yourself, you're anywhere near in the same fucking arena as me, okay? You're taking victims away from their opportunity to get their kids back. And I don't care if I'm hated out there for the words that I'm saying here now, because people will see this is what I believe. Okay, this is what I know. All right, we're in the 8th inning. We've got the ability to now.
If everybody could just go back to the videos in the featured section on the Facebook page and the group page, and watch those videos from when this project began. The same videos I watched when I was researching the family court corruption.
All of you other victims beat them up.
Right. I do want to end this. Okay, this is a new world that I'm in here. Obviously I'm really hyped up and scared. Okay, it's uncharted territory. Um, I'm called by God to do this. I know that. I'm very scared that we're not gonna succeed. But uh, I just want everybody, to know that we are really, really close. Really, really close. Anyone who is choosing not to look here, shame on you. Shame on you. Okay, you have an obligation to society. You have an obligation to everybody else's children. If you don't love your own children enough to look at the data, to come and see how we've proven the bar association. If your thing is, your natural thing is to sit there and say, no, they definitely did it. They definitely did it because I feel competitive with David Weigel. Okay, just understand what we're playing for. The amount of kids suffering, right? I speak this way because in this medium of social media, I have to worry about what works. And I also am not going to violate misrepresentation. All right. And to sit here and talk about the stories we all know are true and not talk about it without the most rage you could keep still contained. All right. I think I deserve an award for the least criminal human being on the planet because of the stories that I know where I haven't actually taken any kind of criminal act to retaliate against these disgusting human beings. All right. I've been challenged.
Considering the amount of stories that you have to listen to every single day, horrific stories.
The shit
That's shocking.
We're doing good.
Right. And it's time, all right, that we stop being stupid and selfish and just sit there. Because listen, in 5 years also, it's going to be known who got on board with this mission and who did not. All right. It's going to be known. Your child will know, will come back to this piece and will judge you for the rest of your life based upon it.
You said it perfectly in one of your podcasts with Amy. You said it perfectly. Oh, I didn't like that Dave Weigel guy, so I didn't go, I didn't go ahead and do that to get you back home with me.
Our kids are going to have a free country if people don't.
Yeah, but if your thing is okay, your plan or what you've got going on is just as smart as mine. Okay, you better have it documented because your child is going to judge you upon it from the future.
And don't sell me your documentation because I'm not buying it.
All right, and we're not. And very, very shortly, we're going to have our AI system for the people that want to be private. We are welcoming people in for the first time. New message here, since the retaliation is so outrageous. We are honoring anyone's desire to come in here privately. We are accepting people under fake names. All right. You want reach out to the moderators. We'll give you separate secure email address to send things into. Okay. And then what you're going to have available to you in weeks, days, if not weeks, is the ability to email in all of your court documents to input@fraudwarrior.org. It's not functional yet. All right, but you might want to write it down. Intake. Wonderful. Intake@fraudwarrior.org. I've been talking about this for 2 years.
You believe that we're going through your documents, selling your documents, or whatever other bullshit? We will never.
You are a moron, and you're not going to talk. You're not going to talk. I'm going to sit there with all my free time and sit through your court documents to find.
We have never read anybody's court documents.
What? Okay.
Just so you know.
to
But
sue
on
you.
that.
we won't even have the ability anymore. It's going to be all automated. Nobody holds them.
We
Nobody.
don't want to. Who wants to go through your court documents? I mean,
Yeah,
we don't.
listen,
It's
all
not
of
that
that
we
shit
don't care. We
that
just
you
don't have time, and
hear,
that's not what the point of
all of
giving
the
us your
shit that you
documents
guys
is.
hear is the people that have been caught by the truth and transparency machine. So that's all the bullshit coming out of them. That's always kill the messenger, always kill the messenger. Bottom line is you'll be able to see, and it's proven, it will be documented. It doesn't touch a human's hand. It goes directly from the email address. You attach the PDFs. It goes directly into our AI stack, and it goes boom, boom, boom through all three of them into a system where there has been 150 to 200 questions that we thought about extensively to reveal this as a factual racketeering, national racketeering system. Okay, on top of the proof that the Bar Association is the largest regulatory fraud of all times. And then we're going to just see if the FBI still wants to sit on their ass.
It was their birthday on the same day as my daughter's. How crazy is that?
Huh?
The point is,
FBI posted a happy birthday post, and I was like, wait, the FBI has the same birthday as my daughter? That's gross.
yeah, the point is, guys, is that it will not be touched by a single hand, and then everyone will be able to have their own account for free. I'm funding, all right, where you will be able to ask whatever question about your case you want to ask. You're going to be given guidance on what questions you should be asking. All right. And then when you're in there in pro se, if by the time things don't change before that, you have math and science to just get on the record. You have math and science to get on the record. And that's all you have to do when you're doing pro se. All right. Don't let them out procedure you.
Real time.
Don't let them out procedure you. Go to the pro se help desk that they have at every single courthouse. They are filled with the right type of people. They know what's going on there. They hate those people. They would love to help you. All right. Especially now because they'll know about us as well. All right. Go to the pro se help desk at every single courthouse. They have them. Find out who this area is, this person. Do not give up when they give you the wrong number and the wrong address. Okay. And that will happen. All right. And just don't get out procedured. All right. Follow the right forms, the dates, the times. Look at the fine print about and ask yourself, where are they tricking me? Where are they tricking? Where are they trying to make me not be able to submit my documents? All right. This is what you got to fight for. Any attorney in the system can only hurt you. They're not on your side. I will put every license I have on the line because I can prove that with the numbers. They are not on your side. All right.
Your biggest enemy in every court case is your own attorney. Believe it or not.
Right.
I think that was Anna asking the best thing to do if you have a whole box of papers, take it to Office Depot with a flash drive. They charge you like 3 cents a page to scan it all and put it on a flash drive.
Yeah, listen, this is something we're always looking for. Listen, we're not doing that well at the Family Court Florida Warrior store, so we would appreciate people buying some stuff. Okay, Kristin has put some.
I haven't really had a whole lot of time to
out there
lately,
but what we will be using those proceeds for first on the list right now is for people who cannot afford to take their documents over to Kinko's and have them converted to PDFs. That's the first thing. It's not that much money. It's gonna be a couple $100 a person. I wish we can do it for every one of the 20. I don't know how many people really would be put under, but I do know if it's $400 or $500.
If Office Depot or Kinko's want to sponsor that, we will gladly flash your merchandise on the podcast.
I'm trying to find funding every single way possible, but it turns out, guys, when you pick a fight with every dirty judge and every dirty attorney in the entire country,
their legal department doesn't like you.
There's not a lot of people that want to join your party, right? I want to
History
hook
back.
their caboose to what you're
I mean,
saying.
you gotta be.
They love that you
pretty-
exist in private.
Yeah, you gotta be pretty,
The
pretty
marvelous
brave
people
to
that would think they
join.
were geniuses. They've literally infiltrated every regulating body of the United States. Corporate,
Okay, it's
private, public, all
It's-
have a department.
it's 9:52. Okay, a new Warrior Project mandate is that we are going to definitively end every single podcast at the 2-hour mark. It's asking a lot because our
Okay, so let's
loyal,
get Kristen's
our,
story.
our loyal fan base feels obligated to stick with us to the end, and it's too much. We got to keep it to 2 hours maximum. Some of the smaller messages are going to be less than that. They're going to be an hour, hour and a half, or two. From this point forward, we're not going to have a podcast go over 2 hours. If there's that much more to talk about, we'll break it out to another session. But I just want to, I want to finish.
Tomorrow night,
My-
Corey Blanton. Dave
Yeah.
will be
Corey
interviewing
Blanton.
tomorrow night.
Corey Blanton is a vet, a first responder. But the thing I'm most proud of is that he was one of the first recipients of our donations, and he refused to take it. He refused to take it because he felt he got himself back on his feet well enough that all he could think about is the people in worse shoes than him. He's putting food on the table for his, I believe it's 4 kids, okay, which was our concern. We heard that it was being, his wages garnished
Being garnished
65%.
65%.
And you
he
got
has to travel to work.
and you
out
got to feed 4. You got to feed 4 kids, right? And this is a vet, right? And he's been one of our most.
And don't forget about what he does for a living. Too. I mean, that man,
He
he
is a
saved lives.
traveling ER nurse, and his nursing license was taken because of child support in Arkansas. So now he has to go live in a hotel away from his kids and wife. So that
I
he
think he's going to report how he outsmarted them. Okay, and went from a horrible situation, which is tomorrow night, same bat time, same bat station. Did we start at 7? Did we go 3 hours?
Yeah.
and we still
No,
didn't.
I'm sitting here saying we're not going to go over 2
Good for a
hours.
while.
Did I tell you guys that I'm a math person?
We were staying on Kristen's story for a long time there, and then we got distracted.
All right, I'm going to shut up and I'm going to actually dip off. If you guys want to stay, you guys can.
I think we need to at least put some closure to the second to your story.
Okay, but I just want to finish what I started of just saying that for the Warrior Project to be involved, Kristin is one of our most proud achievements because it showed absolutely everything the project is about. The type of selflessness and bravery to be part of the project to begin with, to be able to volunteer and do something extraordinary and put yourself at risk. Okay.
I taught myself how to make videos for this.
Somebody in a domestic violence situation that is willing to keep talking to enough friends and trust them that to take that first step to start a new life, and then to go and then have other like-minded altruistic people help her when she gets there to this new place and had a job, had a place to stay, had a way to stay off the radar. All right. And then to see the end, not the end result, but just over a year. All right. We put Kristin in charge of everything she's never done before. She's a great singer, but she's doing all the videos. She's doing all the editing, and a lot of the legal thinking as well. And to see where she was paralyzed, we didn't even know her story for the first 6 months. All right, to where she is now. This is worth more than money, guys. This is worth more than a big house. This is worth more than a nice car. To see this as your achievement, right? This is what this movement is about. This is what this is what these principles are about. This this is a better way to live. It's a better way to live. And take a look at this beautiful woman over here, and mark my words, watch both of those girls grow. Okay, because they're not done growing. All right, they're not done growing. All right, she may be president. All right, and I'm like, I have to. Maybe I'm going to be her driver or something like that.
I thought you were running for president.
Yeah, you said you were running.
I am running. I am running. I'm running for president, though. I am running for president. But
Amy's going to be vice president
for the moon. I'm starting a new colony on the moon. Got some developers.
Press secretary. Can I be the press secretary? I just want to, like, they ask me a question and I'm like, I'm sorry, I am just not in the mood for that bullshit today. Next.
Now that everybody who's sick of hearing my voice take over when you guys are doing such a great job, I am going to dip out, and I'm going to let you fine ladies. You started this thing, okay? You finish it up in your own time.
Even though we butt heads.
I love you ladies more than you could possibly know, and you are my family. Love you, bye.
Mwah. Even though you made me cry today. And I don't cry. I was crying out of frustration. I was just like, I don't know why I'm saying this wrong, but like, there's two choices and I just need you to pick one. But it's okay. It's okay. We're good. We're good.
He's been mean to me before, but it wasn't his intention to be mean.
No, he wasn't.
This is where a lot of people get him wrong. When he is being an asshole, it's because he sees more in you than what you're displaying. He just knows that you're
he knows you can do better.
He's capable of more than what you're putting out.
It really is like you're disappointing your dad.
When he was like that to me one time, it took me a second. A couple hours later, I was like, God damn it, he was right. Son of a bitch.
No, I know he's always right, but it's like, can I be right one time? Just one?
Just one time. Just once. Even if we gotta fake it. Well.
But let's what I wanted to say when he was not about it is that I do think that having adoptive parents is enough to give benefit of the doubt until proven otherwise. I'm not saying they're great people because I don't know, but I would love for them to come forward and have the chance to prove they're great people.
Yeah. I would love for the opportunity to just honestly to thank them for loving my kids. I mean, they didn't have to. It's kind of like a step parent. Step parents are in your life by choice. A lot of step parents don't get a whole lot of credit for that. They, like my stepmother, she's been more of a mother to me than my mother ever has been. I could confide in her. I can, and she's always been there for me. She hasn't been with my dad for over 20 years. And she stayed in my life all these years. That's where me and my kids went when we lost our home. When their dad went to prison. It was, she didn't have to be there for me. She doesn't still have to be there for me. And she still is, and it's kind of like that, they're in your life by choice.
See, and I sit there and think of that because my husband's kids were older when we met. So it would be absolutely asinine to say I had anything to do with raising his children. I'm their biggest cheerleader.
But being a step parent, you're choosing to be in their life. You know what I mean?
I'm your fan.
That makes you special, I mean, it's when somebody chooses you, it just feels different. It's just a different type of I don't know. It's just so as far as the adoptive parents, they didn't have to love my kids. They didn't have to take my kids in and keep them together like they did, so I don't think bad of them. I don't know them. I don't know.
No, but you know what?
I just know that they didn't do anything wrong. It's not their fault that foster and adoption agencies and Department of Health and Human Services is corrupt.
What broke my heart is when you were talking about seeing your oldest son enter adulthood and he's not ready to communicate for whatever reasons. We probably will never know. But you sitting there wondering what would be different if you had been a part of it. Like, and I'm sitting there going, I mean, not only are we looking at who he is now, we're wondering who he would have been. And God had a plan when he gave you children, and our government took it away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they absolutely were wrong. Just like they are 84% of the time, 86% of the time.
Percent of the time that an
That they get it
independent
wrong.
study of CPS found
I can't do it. I tried to shut up. I only lasted 3 minutes. I tried, everybody. I tried.
we'll leave his space open, or we're gonna put the comments back.
You might as well leave it.
Well, I mean, you know, because we have to. When you plan these in advance and you have a spot for everything, it works amazingly well. Just saying.
Sorry. Sorry.
She had something to say.
She's barking at Paul.
Feelings.
Girls, I think that's our cue to like wrap her up.
Yeah, we are.
We are, but we're trying to leave messages for Kristen's kids because.
Wait, hold on. Does anyone want to see me in my underwear and my cape, my family court fraud warrior cape? Because we are opening our own family court fraud warrior OnlyFans because we need money that bad.
God.
Right? I'm donating my feet because I have very special feet. I have webbed toes.
You do?
You don't know I have webbed toes? Do you want to see?
Paul does too.
That
is weird.
I'm putting it on public record. I'm putting it on public record. Right here.
Jesus.
Right here. Right here now. We're making history. Attention, international courts. This is what we're willing to do to get attention to this matter. Okay? We will use humor. We'll use whatever we need to actually get attention. And this is what we do to laugh so we don't cry every single day. But tell me how freaky this is. Ready? Hold on.
That's exactly how Paul's toes are.
Can you see it? Oh my God, they're stuck together.
That is so crazy.
They're stuck together.
Because what's really crazy is my little brother's toes are the same way too.
I'm confused.
3 people I know who have webbed toes.
Do you know how many times in my life, like, people thought they were the first person to think up, I bet you're a great swimmer.
That's what he says.
No, but I'm just looking at the bottom of
I do that too, and I always I'm like cringed afterwards. I'm like, oh my God, was I the first person to think that up? No, what it means is I'm the chosen one. I am David versus Goliath. This helps me with my rock throwing.
With your rock throwing. I like Anna's nickname for you, Ducky Dave. Ducky Dave.
There's a guy you're gonna follow into war, huh?
All right, guys.
I'm with Ducky Dave. Thank you so much, everybody.
So what do you want to tell your kids if they happen to see this on YouTube? Since you're a
can we end on something serious?
What do you want them to know?
That I definitely have never. It always bothered me wondering if they thought that I just walked away because I was there one day and the next. They wanted me to come in and have a last visit with my kids, and I didn't go. I didn't show up because. How do you expect somebody to do that? How do you expect somebody to show up and say goodbye to your kids forever? Like I couldn't do it, and because I didn't want them thinking that I'm saying goodbye. You know, it's just that's cruel. That is so cruel. So, if anything, I just want them to know I never did say goodbye, and it just that's not what happened. You know, it wasn't that I walked away from them and just decided I didn't want to be their mom anymore, it wasn't what happened. And I have purposely made sure I stay out of, especially, since I've been out of the domestic violence situation, I have been like, I cannot die because I have to be alive to tell my kids the truth on what happened. So they don't have to go another day ever thinking that I didn't love them. If that's what they are thinking, I don't want them to ever go another second longer than what they have already gone thinking that's why I wasn't in their life. That's why I was there one
Kristen,
day and gone the next.
the worst thing that exists on your criminal record is that you, after being abused beyond belief to the point of torture, that we will prove to the nth degree. I mean, you've got to be a moron not to figure that out. Like, what's the definition of mental torture? Is there anything above stealing your children?
If you think about it, there is nothing worse a parent can go through than losing their children, whether it's to death or
together tonight that your child support warrant is based on statutory rape.
Yeah. And I got a word also.
And that is the worst thing on my record.
Because we're not gonna
I have a felony child support case. Yes.
Yeah,
we're not, traffic violations.
We're not gonna let the parental alienators off. Okay. I just want to let you guys know from a strategy standpoint, because at the end of the day, the kids, you're still going to be the father. Kristen's still going to be the mother, and the kids come first. So phase one, okay, is exposing the system. Phase two is exposing where the parent, where this happens because people justify that no, the kids don't need someone like Kristin as their mother in their life. And the reality is it's more convenient for me, my new wife. Okay. It's easier for her.
Exactly what happened with my oldest.
It's easier for her.
It's not too late for your ex-husband to go sign off on your child support and call it paid in full.
Right. And it's up to every single American that knows somebody that's done this to shame them, to send them here. Okay. Because when we're done with the, international complaint and actually, establishing indictments on these criminals through the other 95% of the world, we're going to still stick around for the behavioral change machine, because we have to do something to change the fundamentals of this social media, of this playground for narcissists, this playground. The idea of highlighting good behavior in society and exposing bad behavior, it is going to go to the parental alienator side. It's going to go, and we're going to dissect, and we're going to educate people. How do they do it? How did this guy actually take Kristin as a mother out of what was going on in his brain? What were the mechanisms?
And that's what I don't understand.
What were the steps?
Is about, like, he decided on his own to take it upon himself to decide that I shouldn't take part in raising our child. Why should I have to give him money if I can't even, you decided on your own, you had this handled on your own. So what do you need my money for? Why?
I'm sorry, man. And I'm sorry, domestic violence right there. Okay. Number one, you stole her children. And number two, you such a loser. You
depend on a woman.
You needed her money on top of that.
Right.
How old?
And I never made him pay child support, ever.
After you kicked her, after you kicked the mother of your children to the floor, all right, you then had to, when she wasn't looking, kick her again and stab her while she was lying on the ground bleeding, all right, and make her a criminal because
I have a felony on my record.
She couldn't work. She couldn't work. But the idea that she owes you money monthly for what you
I
did
just-
to her.
I think the most important part of the public record here is how old was he?
He was 24. I was 15 when he got me pregnant.
Listen, I'm telling you right now, what is his name?
Mike. That's
Mike
my
what?
ex-husband. That's my
Mike what?
oldest. My oldest,
Mike
Noah
what?
Belkowitz.
Mike what? Mike Belkowitz. We're putting on the public ledger right now. All right. We always want to put people in the position to be able to do the right thing. If you look, you will find that the real source, okay, is the system. All right. If you put humans in a cage, they're going to act like caged animals. All right. And you were put in a system that allowed you to do something stupid and convince yourself that your new wife was right, and kicking Kristin out wouldn't matter as long as a kid, whatever line of bullshit you sold yourself. Okay, a lot of other people did too. But you got a choice right here and right now, and that is to educate yourself and own what you should own. Okay, I don't know the story enough.
To take away somebody from a child that loves that child is crazy to me. I would never have done, I would never do that. My ex-husband did a lot of really fucked up things to me, and I still never took my son from him.
You are never, ever, ever going to get an easier way to own this than through the Warrior Project, because our data shows ironclad. The source is the system. The real problem is the system. If you choose to pretend we don't exist, pretend this doesn't exist, and pretend you did nothing wrong, okay, Kristin's a real important person here. You think I'm going to forget about her? You think we're not going to make things right? Okay. Question you need to be asking yourself is, how infamous do you want me to make you? Own it. Have an honest conversation with your children. All right. She's a wonderful.
We only have one kid.
Human being. There is no way with the number of people that I speak to in a day that I'm going to remember who has one child, who has two, who has three, who has four.
I only have one with him. I only have my oldest with him.
Okay. Well, what's your name again? What's your name again? Kirsty? I'm being 100% honest here, okay? Because they're going to try and make the Warrior Project out to be we are threatening, harassing, and stalking. Notice as we are completely providing the actual evidence and basis for right and wrong. They're so desperate to focus on how I'm speaking versus what I'm speaking about, that they're going to hit us with this. So I want to make very, 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 very clear. At no time will your life ever be in danger physically. Okay. If I haven't thrown Cindy off of the balcony over here yet, it's impossible. It's impossible. Oh my God. Richard Getty, did you hear that? Oh, call Divine, call an emergency session. Dave Weigel.
842-page motion.
Dave Weigel, I got news for you. I'm on the second floor. She wouldn't even die. She'd get more pissed, come up and beat me up.
No, I mean, that dude has written a freaking novel.
Oh, you know what I love is Call Divine, or one of them over there, is walking around with like security because of 140-pound me, right? He has like some 6'7" dude who follows him everywhere because he's afraid of 140-pound money manager on Wall Street who lives 1,200 miles away. Because he says mean things about me. All this revealing of my track record.
That's just typical, though. Everybody always wants to jump to the reaction and not what caused it in the first place.
The truth.
Yeah, it's just
this project wouldn't even exist if people like Carl Devine and Tiffany R. and Judge Elwood Brown and Caitlin McCormick didn't exist.
If he
So,
is out there,
why are we not starting there?
Really?
Why are people not noticing them first? That they're the problem.
I do want to make one big announcement that I want you to capture as a power clip, because I'm constantly sitting here thinking about like this. We're missing a piece. We're missing a piece of this puzzle. And if you listen, and I made a comment that was not nice to someone that really stole the thunder of one of the most beautiful, I think I reposted it, one of the most beautifully written, Kristin Vermeulen found this guy, Tom Gunn, something like that. And I realized that this was just beautiful writing. And of course, some selfish schmuck, okay, used as an excuse to put a comment up there selling her shit, right? And I was like, what? Why can't your job is to right now? What's wrong with just letting this be his moment, right? Speak about his genius writing right then and there, okay? And it's really analogous to the thing that we're facing most. So many people believe the key to their situation is if they can only get their case known. No, it has nothing to do with that. I'm trying not to be a dick and not to call you stupid. But if you believe that, you are ungodly stupid because you are choosing not to do an ounce of research to understand that has nothing to do with you being able to win your case. It is so broken. There is no solution going through the system. That's been proven here. All right. You have a method here to be able to get your kids back. You could choose your ego. You could choose your intellectual laziness, or you can own your shit and come in here and do some work and actually study, all right, what it's going to take to win this war. All right. But the idea that if you can just get your story out there, like take that apart. Like, what are you raising awareness? Oh, you have evidence? No one has evidence. It's rude because you know what? Honestly, I was there. I'm not calling you stupid. All right. I'm calling you inexperienced. And I'm trying to ring the alarm bell.
Yeah, but sometimes people do come into this like right when it starts happening to them, and they're still not realizing how much it is happening to people.
Yeah,
I'm
going to tell you right now.
Like, there's somebody that's been in it for a minute, and they're like acting like their ideas are brand new, like nobody's ever thought about it. It gets freaking annoying.
Yeah, I'm going to tell, and I'm going to scare the shit out of Kentucky with what's coming next, because there's nothing that you can do to stop it. What we're going to do is actually put the science and numbers together to sit there and talk about how scientifically proven it is that when you remove two special needs little girls, one with a G tube, and you put them with someone that's such a bad alcoholic, he needs a liver transplant by age 35. But the real crime, the thing that is so appalling, you don't require that they're staying sober. You're not requiring drug tests. You're not requiring.
They do it to everybody else.
Sober link. You made my ass go through it for 4 years, 1,800 damn tests.
They made everybody else do it, but except for the one who had the liver transplant. Like,
which, by the way, since my case is over, I'm admitting I totally played that system. I still drank. Okay. I just bought 3 other breathalyzers. All right. And when I went to dinner and wanted to have a glass of wine, I had a glass of wine. And then I sat there and I blew in it until I blew all zeros. And then I followed your system just so I can say, F you, you're not taking my freedom from
but
me.
how many did you take? How many drug tests did you take? I mean, breathalyzers.
Over 1,700. Over 1,700.
That's abuse.
That is insane. But they don't make people like Josh do not one. That's
Yeah. And
They make everybody else.
a
It's just
man
like,
who is inheriting two special needs. I didn't have custody of my kids while they were doing this. So who are they protecting?
right,
Who are they
right.
protecting? So now this guy,
And you don't have any DUIs. You don't
right?
have nothing like
Again, for
that.
people who don't know the background, you've removed 28 doctors, 5 medical facilities, 4 therapists, put the girls 9.5 hours away with a man. And what we're going to have is we're going to have experts, an expert panel, and this is going to be the first actual trial on the Family Court Fraud Warrior Project. We're going to hold trial. We're going to hold a clinical study. And we are going to ask the most experienced people in addiction treatment what the numbers are. The rate, how much do you have to drink to actually need a liver transplant at age 35? Can you possibly be a father over that period? Okay. How many people, about the rarity, you're going to ask, how many people, you've dealt with alcoholics and addicts your whole life, how many have been so bad that they've needed a liver transplant? Judge Yard, do you know the number? I think it's more like 0.1%. So now you gave these girls to someone who is such a bad alcoholic. He's in the 0.1% category of danger to them. Then we're going to ask the experts independently, what's the rate of relapse? You're going to see overnight. You're going to see, I'm a numbers guy. I'm calling it over 99%. Let's be super conservative and say 94%, 95%. His new wife he met in rehab. What are the odds that when they relapse, they're going to relapse together? Which means that both mommy and daddy, in charge of 2 special need kids, are on a bender. Who has lived with an alcoholic or addict to understand that can actually sit here and say that this is not judicial, homicidal neglect? That is almost murder, you psychopath bitch. Okay. I will not change my language. Okay. You know what you did. You know the exact level of danger you have put those girls in now for 7 months. Okay. Cindy is now finally getting on a plane, and she's going to come back, and she's going to face this. And she understands that I've talked to her enough for her to understand that she'd overcome the shame of having the opportunity to have these calls with the girls and the pressure from the family to say, how could you not? How could you not? How could you not? Because you have to be smarter than them and understand that showing the girls their mother once a week and taking it away, that's torturing them. That's harming them, right? So 6-year-olds out of sight, out of mind for 7 months while we organized our plan of overcoming this. It's going to be recorded in the history books is the most genius motherly thing to actually do, and do this in the face of so much
I
opposition.
understand it to an extent because I didn't go to the last visit that they scheduled for me to say goodbye to my kids.
And
I mean,
I heard you say that.
absolutely
I heard you
cruel.
say that, and please do not kick yourself for that.
I will never. I'll
in the
never.
least.
I'll never, because
In the
that is
least.
that is just absolutely cruel. That is cruel. That
But
is
I also want to
absolutely
say,
somebody do that.
I've had words. Who can believe? Hold on, let's paint a picture for everybody here right now. All right. So, your only daughter gets caught in this horrific system, and you sit there and you watch her children be hijacked. She somehow finds a charity run by a guy who takes such an interest in her case, determines that it's actually one of the worst we've ever seen, and we're making a campaign case. and in that process falls in love with your daughter, but has a very different approach than what you're being told and how you're being manipulated by Richard Getty. Okay. Why did he quit 6 times? Because he knows that I know his game and all of their game. His job was to manage you, David Adams, manage you, Annette Adams. But his job is also to torture you, okay, to take advantage of your torture and to whisper in your ear how, think about this. They convinced you that it's Cindy's fault. It's Cindy's fault in all of this that's gone on. I mean, this is on the public ledger here now, okay? The level of lunacy that people will see in this. But you know what most parents do? Most proud parents do? They stick to their guns. It's too big of a thing to get wrong. Okay? I can't be wrong about that. You want to be a great man and a great woman in this country? You want to go out a winner? Because, let's face it. All right. Cindy's parents are in their 80s. Okay. They're not going to live to 300. They're not Yoda. All right. You've got an opportunity. You've got an opportunity to do the easy thing or the hard thing. The hard thing is going to be able to sit there and look yourself and say, I got bamboozled. All right. I'm like many, many, many others, but I'm not confusing my wealth for brilliance. Okay. And I got bamboozled like so many people. I made a mistake. I should have had Cindy's back the entire time. I should have understood that the Warrior Project was only here to help Cindy. But, sir, Mr. Adams, Miss Adams, it is not your fault. Okay. Richard Getty, all right, has defrauded you in such a horrific way. Such a horrific way. And why do I know this and why can I say this and put it on permanent public record? One thing. There's only one thing you need to know. It's on public record. His advice was, Cindy, you have a long way to go to earn back the trust of the court. This is what his advice and what is on record after she went public and used her First Amendment right to say how I'm not even being heard. If you've heard Cindy's 3 to 5 minute video, she doesn't even out people. She just is extremely magnanimous and is basically saying, I don't feel like I've been heard. This was after she was thrown in jail for 45 days by this psychopath. I am so happy to be exposing you disgusting, horrific human beings. It's giving me such incredible joy to explain to the world. All right. I'm using all of my skills to be able to just sit there and be able to take apart and show just how big of criminals you people are.
All right, we're going on 3.5 hours now, guys. I'm starving.
I wanted to end there. Okay. I wanted to end with, we are going to be producing next week, because I want you to be completely shitting your pants over this, because you cannot stop it. We are having a panel of experts run through the numbers to talk about the fact that how much does the fact that you did not order, Judge Tiffany Yar, you did not order required protections of those daughters in a situation where there was a 99.99% chance those girls would be put in harm's way. You hid your crime against those numbers. And you're going to be behind bars, lady. And I'm putting you there. Good night, everybody.